After the college entrance exam, my childhood frenemy handed me a note. It had nobody like written in English. As a poor student, even I could translate those simple words. Nobody likes you. I angrily tore up the note and went abroad the next day. Later I found out that sentence could also mean you're the only one. So the first thing I did after returning home was to find my childhood friend, but that brat refused to answer my calls. Furious, I barged into the private room. Everyone inside turned to look at me. Gu Qinghan's sidekick came up smiling. You're looking for Qinghan? She went to the restroom. She'd be back in a bit. Kezan looked at me with displeasure. Don't tell me you're Qinghan's new boyfriend. So, Qinghan dumped me because of you? Other than having a pale face, I don't see what's better about you. As soon as he said that, the girls in the room burst into laughter. Anyone with eyes could tell. The new guy was way more handsome. Kezan was just full of himself, thinking he was the hottest guy at to high school, and convinced he was incredibly good-looking. He didn't even think about it, if it weren't for being Gu Qinghan's boyfriend. How could he have been voted school hunk? My face turned cold instantly. I hate it when people say I have pale skin. No one in America ever said that, because everyone's skin is pale there. I looked at Kezan and said, "Can you shut up? I didn't come here to see you." "Why are you shouting?" Kezan glared at me. "Who do you think you are? How dare you yell at me?" He was already in a bad mood. Gu Qinghan only dated him for a week before breaking up with him, and she didn't even give a proper reason. Just days later, she was rumored to have a new boyfriend. I heard he's also very handsome. Anyway, at least he had to win back some pride. But I didn't want to waste time on this guy. I just wanted to find Gu Qinghan. I turned to the sidekick and asked, "Where's the ladies' room?" "Take me there." The sidekick looked puzzled. "You want to go to the ladies' room?" I rolled my eyes at her impatiently. "Didn't you just say Qinghan went to the restroom? If I don't go to the ladies' room, am I supposed to find her in the men's room?" Kezan was fuming with rage. This guy actually dared to ignore him. He was the school hunk of to high after all. And this man was being so arrogant in front of him, especially since this man was Qinghan's new boyfriend. The more Kezan thought, the angrier he got. He began ranting, "Who do you think you are to ignore me? Look at me. I'm talking to you. Hey, did you hear me?" Getting no response, Kezan stood up furiously and suddenly pushed me hard. Because the lighting was dim, I didn't react in time and got shoved. Right before falling down, I reached out and yanked at Kezan's pants leg, pulling his pants down. Kezan's face turned red. He hurried to pull his pants back up. But that embarrassing moment had already been seen by everyone. Someone couldn't help but laugh. Kezan couldn't hold it in anymore. He shouted, "Pretty boy, I won't let you off." I stayed calm and glanced at him. My eyes seemed to say, "Come at me if you dare." Just then, the private room door was pushed open. A cold female voice asked, "What's going on?" I heard that familiar voice and turned around. Staring coldly at the girl who entered, I said, "Gu Qinghan." Gu Qinghan looked carefully at the man in front of her, then said in surprise, "Jiang Yichen? What are you doing here?" I let out a dark chuckle. I walked toward her. "Not bad, huh? I thought you'd forgotten me." I walked right up to her, then smacked her shoulder with my hand. The onlookers gasped in shock. They all drew a sharp breath. Oh my God, he actually hit Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes slightly and calmly dodged the slap with a small turn. "What's wrong? You just got back and already this mad?" Everyone was even more shocked. Not only was Gu Qinghan not angry, her voice even sounded a bit doting. I said angrily, "Do you know what I've been through just to come back and find you?" Gu Qinghan reached out and dusted off my clothes. "Jiang Yichen, were you hauling bricks overseas? Why are you covered in dust?" I curled my lips. "Isn't it thanks to you?" Gu Qinghan blinked blankly. "What does this have to do with me? I just found out you were back, okay?" I glanced over at Kezan and said, "Your boyfriend is really something. The moment I came in looking for you, he gave me trouble." Gu Qinghan, you really have good taste. Gu Qinghan and I have known each other since diapers. We've known each other for as many years as we've been alive. Of course she knew exactly what I meant. Her expression instantly sharpened. She looked at Kezan and coldly asked, Kezan, who gave you the guts to lay a hand on him? Kezan, who had been acting so arrogant just now looked completely deflated, especially under Gu Qinghan's current gaze. He realized he was in serious trouble. Qinghan, let me explain. It's not like what he said at all. It's him. His attitude was too arrogant. And besides, who gave him the right to call you by your full name? That's just disrespectful to you. So I got mad and while Kezan was struggling to justify himself, Gu Qinghan raised her elegant hand slightly, took my arm, and said to Kezan, what gives him the right? Because I gave it. He can call me whatever he wants. It's none of your business. Kezan's face turned pale, then red from those words. He had secretly liked Qinghan since middle school, so he'd always been paying attention to her over the years, but he had never heard of her liking any man. Yet the man in front of him was actually the exception. How could Kezan possibly swallow this? Qinghan, I really didn't know. I didn't know you two were so close. I'm sorry. Gu Qinghan hated it the most when boys acted all pitiful. So she turned her face away in annoyance. I was annoyed too, but I had to admit he was smart and clearly understood Gu Qinghan very well. Only someone like that would know to show weakness now. Still sounding a bit displeased, I said, Gu Qinghan, you deal with this yourself. Even if I said nothing, Gu Qinghan wouldn't let me suffer like that, especially not on her turf. She stared coldly at Kezan. Tell me, what should I do with you? Kezan shivered under her gaze. He took a deep breath as if he had made a decision, and slapped himself hard across the face. I'm sorry, it was my fault. I shouldn't have acted without knowing the facts. Then tears streamed from his eyes. As he cried, he slapped himself twice more. It looked like a sincere apology. Hearing the loud smacks, I figured, fine, let it go. All right, that's enough, stop hitting yourself. Then I turned to Gu Qinghan and said, let's go. Come back with me. Gu Qinghan turned to the others in the room and said, if you want to keep playing, go ahead. If not, feel free to leave. I'm leaving now. Oh right, where's my phone? The sidekick quickly handed over the phone with both hands. Qinghan, here's your phone. I thought about how I couldn't reach her earlier. A wave of frustration suddenly rose in me. Gu Qinghan, when I called you earlier, you didn't even recognize my voice. And when I took a cab here and didn't have money, I wanted to call you for help, but you wouldn't answer my calls. If you're not going to use your phone, just give it to me. I reached out to grab it, but Gu Qinghan was quick and nimble. She dodged my hand with ease and tucked the phone back into her bag, then linked arms with me and led me outside. It was noisy in the room. It's normal I couldn't recognize your voice. What's going on with you anyway? You suddenly came back to the country, and this late at night, was it something urgent? Gu Qinghan was full of questions. Even during New Year's when I came back, I wasn't this eager to find her. She smiled ambiguously. Yichin, don't tell me you suddenly realized you're in love with me and rushed over to confess. You even argued with Kezan. Are you trying to confess your feelings? I gave her a faint smile, then pinched the flesh at her waist. Soft and smooth. It felt pretty nice. Gu Qinghan winced in pain and gritted her teeth. You big bully. Can't even joke with you anymore. You've been abroad for a few years and lost your sense of humor. I snorted in return. I'm in a bad mood tonight. And you still joke with me when I'm upset. You're asking for it. After we walked out of the bar, Gu Qinghan still had her arm hooked around mine and asked, so, what exactly did you need me for? I came to ask you to open the door. I don't have a key to your place. More importantly, your place doesn't even use keys to open the door. I had to come find you in person. Gu Qinghan looked puzzled. My mom and the others are home. You could have just called and someone would open the door. They'd even line up to greet you. We grew up together. Gu Qinghan's house basically felt like my second home. Suddenly, Gu Qinghan sensed something was off. She narrowed her beautiful eyes. Which house are you talking about? You don't mean the apartment I'm living in now, do you? I nodded, yeah. Why else would I come looking for you? You silly or what? I looked at her like she was an idiot. It was obviously a pointless question. Why would I need her if I was going to her family's house? Gu Qinghan's expression froze. She asked in confusion, why are you going to my apartment? It's so late already. If you need a place to stay, You could have gone to my mom. Why come to me? Even though she vaguely sensed that something wasn't right, she didn't want that gut feeling to be true. She'd rather believe her sixth sense was wrong. I looked at her, grinning slyly from the corner of my mouth. Looks like you don't know you've been tricked by your mom. Relax, relax. I'm a victim too. I understand how you feel. Gu Qinghan looked confused and frustrated. Her face said, "What the hell is going on?" Gu Qinghan brought me back to her upscale apartment. She used her fingerprint to unlock the door, and I followed her in. I glanced at the security system on the door and said, "Oh right, add my fingerprint into the system. It'll be easier for me to come and go." Gu Qinghan didn't expect me to ask for that. She crossed her arms and glared at me. "And why should I?" "So, you can freely come and go from my place." I mirrored her and crossed my arms too. "Because starting today, I'm living here. If you don't register my fingerprint, how can I get in and out? What are you going to be my walking key?" Gu Qinghan frowned. "Who said you could live here? Did I give you permission?" This was her private space. Even if I was her childhood friend, that didn't mean she welcomed me invading her personal territory. I shrugged. "You think I want to?" "It was your mom who told me to move in." Gu Qinghan finally realized something wasn't right. She recalled what I hadn't finished saying earlier. "You said I was set up by my mom. What do you mean by that? Is it related to all this?" I nodded and declared to her, "Because you and I are about to get engaged. So they made us live together first, to build some feelings." Gu Qinghan wondered if she heard me wrong. Her eyes widened instantly. "What did you say? You and I are getting engaged? What kind of nonsense is that?" "Well, that's the situation. If you want the details, ask them yourself. I'm too lazy to explain. I'm super tired right now. I'm going to shower, and then sleep." I yawned as I spoke, and waved at her, dragging my slippers as I headed to the room. "Hey, explain yourself," she shouted after me. The door closed right in front of Gu Qinghan's face, almost smacking into the nose she was so proud of. She pounded the door and yelled, "Jiang Yichen, come out here." Not long after, I opened the door holding a change of clothes, leaned against the door frame and looked at her, and said, "I'm really sleepy right now. Let's talk tomorrow." "Okay," I said, brushing past her on the way to the bathroom. Gu Qinghan watched me, helpless, and also noticed how exhausted I looked. So she let it go, for now. The next day, I had a very restful sleep, but was woken by noise outside. I got out of bed, lifted the blanket, and got up, opened the door, and saw Gu Qinghan. "Gu Qinghan, I'm hungry. Is breakfast ready yet?" Gu Qinghan poured herself a glass of water in the kitchen, and lazily replied, "There's no breakfast. I don't cook here. If you want food, go buy it yourself." I frowned in frustration. "No breakfast? Then, what am I supposed to do? I'm starving. I'm about to die." Gu Qinghan just watched my childish performance. "There are all kinds of drinks and milk in the fridge, cookies and bread in the cupboard. Figure it out yourself. Just eat whatever. Then I'll call home and have my mom take you back." I rolled off the couch in a hurry, running to the fridge while shouting, "Go back. Didn't I tell you last night? Starting today, I'm living here with you." I acted completely at ease, as if I were in my own home. Casually pulled out milk and started drinking. Gu Qinghan pouted and crossed her arms. "I'm not agreeing to any engagement." I shrugged and said, "You won't agree? Then go talk to your parents. And your grandpa." "I can't make that decision." She frowned. "Grandpa too?" "Your mom said you go home this weekend." She explained everything then. Of course, when it comes to grandpa, if it's his order, even Gu Qinghan has no choice but to comply. She scratched her head irritably. "Forget the weekend. I'll go back with you tonight and settle this." "Suit yourself," I said with a shrug. Tossed the empty milk carton into the trash. After washing my hands, I said, "You're going to school, right? Wait for me. I'll brush my teeth and wash up." Gu Qinghan looked at me, confused. "You're coming to school with me?" "Of course, because starting today, I'm transferring to your school." I leaned against the bathroom doorframe, smiling sweetly as I said it. Gu Qinghan looked like she was about to go crazy. If this guy shows up at my school, my queen bee image would be impossible to maintain. But I didn't care about her. I walked straight into the bathroom. You could still hear me humming from the living room. After I washed up and got dressed, we finally headed out. Less than a 10-minute drive, and we were almost at Hainan High. since it's a private school. The campus is huge. From afar, you could already see the luxurious school gates. From a few hundred meters away, I shouted from the car, "Stop, stop, stop, just stop here. I'll get out here." Gu Qinghan told the driver to stop the car. Then asked in confusion, "School's not even there yet. Why are you getting off here?" But I had already gotten off with my backpack. Then smiled at her. "There's no way I'm walking into school with you. Otherwise, I'll attract way too much attention. I prefer to stay low-key. You go on ahead. Bye. I'm going to grab some breakfast on the way." Whatever. Gu Qinghan coldly watched me walk away. So many guys wanted to ride in the same car with her. And this one actually disliked her. After watching Gu Qinghan's car drive off, I looked around and spotted a cake shop. I picked out my favorite matcha cake and also bought a cup of soy milk. "I'll take a slice of this." I pointed at the last slice of matcha cake inside. The staff came over and took it out, packed it into a small box. I reached out to take it, but the staff looked at me apologetically. "Sorry. That last one has already been purchased. You'll have to choose something else." I felt a little annoyed. "Who bought it?" I clearly saw it first. The staff looked troubled too and pointed at a girl standing by the cashier. "That girl. She's already paid for it. So I'm really sorry. Our chocolate and strawberry cakes are also really popular. Want to try one?" "No thanks," I shook my head. Then walked over to that girl and gently tapped her shoulder. "Hi? Would you mind giving me that matcha cake?" I'm a little obsessive in nature. Once I set my eyes on something, I don't want anything else. To my surprise, when she turned around, she turned out to be a stunning beauty. She had a pure and elegant look. Definitely a lady from a distinguished family. And she was exactly my type. "Hi, may I help you with something?" Su Muxue looked at me and asked. Her voice was unbelievably pleasant. Definitely the kind of voice all guys love. Just hearing it made my heart race. And I'm a sucker for good voices, so I couldn't help feeling a little excited, especially since the girl in front of me also had such great presence. "This matcha cake is the last one. Could you let me have it?" I gave her my signature smile. If Gu Qinghan were here and saw my expression, she would definitely roll her eyes hard. But Su Muxue just calmly turned back and said, "Sorry. This is for someone else, so I can't give it to you." I immediately deflated. I was convinced it was for her boyfriend. So thoughtful to buy breakfast for him. Such girls are rare these days. "Alright, I won't force you then. I'll just get something else." I said I'd buy another, but the thought that this pretty girl had a boyfriend lowered my mood a few more notches. I dragged my feet as I left. Su Muxue's eyes followed me. She probably felt a bit guilty and couldn't help but say, "I heard people say their chestnut cake here is also good. You could try that." Hearing that from her made me think she was even more gentle and thoughtful. "Alright, I'll try it." I turned back and smiled at her, then ordered a chestnut cake from the staff and took it with me, then quickly caught up with her. Even though she had a boyfriend, since I just transferred to this school, it wouldn't hurt to know a top student. So I shamelessly went to strike up a conversation. "Hello." I smiled brightly. My smile was as sunny as the sun itself. "Are you a student at Halen too?" "I'm a new transfer student starting today." Su Muxue glanced at me. Face was such a sunny, cheerful smile. It was hard for anyone to refuse. "Yes," she replied softly and continued walking forward. I followed her pace, and we walked side by side. "You're in senior year, grade 12. She seemed a bit disappointed and pouted. I smiled and replied, "Actually, I should be in grade 11. Definitely not grade 12. Su Muxue looked confused. "You don't even know what grade you're in." I scratched my head awkwardly. "Actually, I just transferred back from the US. I was in grade 10 there. But my elders think I'm smart, so they'll probably place me in grade 11. I knew Gu Qinghan was in grade 11, and her mom probably arranged for us to be in the same class, so we could build our relationship. Even though I was in grade 10 in the US, I feel confident that I can handle the academic work here. Su Muxue looked at my confident expression and couldn't help but giggle. We chatted as we walked to the school gate. Just as we were about to enter, the security guard stopped me. You can't go in. It's almost class time. Outsiders are not allowed in. I widened my eyes and said to the guard at the gate, I'm a student here. I just transferred in today. But no matter how I explained, he just wouldn't let me in. In fact, the more he looked at me, the more suspicious I seemed. I was just thinking about mentioning Gu Qinghan when I heard Su Muxue beside me say, he really is a transfer student today. So he doesn't have a student ID yet. We're on our way to the office to register. I can vouch for him. The security guard recognized her and nodded. I know you. You're Su Muxue. All right, I'll let him in this time because of you. Su Muxue politely nodded and said, thank you. But I was still unhappy. Although I was grateful to Su Muxue for helping me, the guard's attitude was really annoying. He still looked at me like I was some kind of thief. I've always thought I looked sunny and handsome. How could I be treated so suspiciously? Thanks, but I still need to follow up on this, I said to Su Muxue, as I pulled out my phone and made a call to Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan's lazy voice came through. What's up? I couldn't help but get annoyed. I was stopped at the gate, I said. They won't let me in. They don't believe I'm a transfer student. Gu Qinghan burst into laughter. Her reaction only made me angrier. I was about to yell her name. When Gu Qinghan quieted down, I can tell you're upset, she said gently. Just wait a moment. I'll take care of it. Suddenly I heard a guy's voice near her, asking who was on the phone. His voice was deep and magnetic, the kind of voice girls couldn't resist. Who are you with? I asked, sounding a bit annoyed. Here I was being humiliated outside, while she was flirting with other guys. Gu Qinghan either didn't hear me or just ignored me. She didn't answer and hung up the phone. Hey, Gu Qinghan, I shouted angrily at my phone. Su Muxue looked at me with concern. What's wrong? Are you okay? I responded, a little frustrated. Someone's putting love before friendship. But less than a minute later, the security guard's phone rang. When he saw the caller ID, he looked visibly startled. He answered the call very respectfully. Then, after hanging up, he looked at me apologetically. His attitude changed completely. With a flattering smile, he said, I'm really sorry. This was a total misunderstanding. It was my fault. You may enter now. The principal is waiting for you. Only then was I satisfied. I held my head high and walked in. Su Muxue looked puzzled and asked from behind, who exactly are you? You even got the principal involved. I gave a cheeky smile, raised a finger, and shook it at her. With a mysterious tone I said, that's a secret. I'll tell you once we get to know each other better. Su Muxue gave a light laugh. Is this your way of hitting on me? I don't make friends that easily. I know, you're a top student, right? Top students are picky about friends. I puffed up with pride, grinning from ear to ear, and momentarily forgot all about Gu Qinghan ignoring me. Why do you think I'm a top student? She gave me a curious glance. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Because I'm smart. Oh right, the guard said he recognized you earlier. Are you kind of famous at school too? Not really, she replied softly, not going into any details. She clearly wasn't trying to show off, but I wasn't satisfied. I pressed on. Is it because you're a school beauty? Or do you just always top the school rankings? In my opinion, it's probably both, right? Su Muxue replied, how could I be the school beauty? I looked at her in surprise. You're not? If even you're not, then wait. Don't tell me the school beauty is Gu Qinghan. When I said that name, Su Muxue narrowed her eyes. You know her? I didn't notice the change in her expression and excitedly continued asking. She's super popular at school, right? I heard she has a lot of boyfriends. You're both big names. Even if you're not in the same grade, you must know each other, right? We know each other, but we're not close. Su Muxue's voice had grown a little colder. She glanced at me with a hint of scrutiny. By the way, do you like her too? I snorted. I'm not interested in her at all. Really? Su Muxue looked a bit surprised. She had just heard me bring up Gu Qinghan. She thought I came here for her too. But now she looked into my eyes seriously. Unlike other guys, I didn't look love-struck when mentioning Gu Qinghan. I smiled and looked at her. I said, I don't like her type at all. If I had to choose, I think you're better than her. She's just rich and pretty. And she's mean to everyone. Anyone who likes her is out of luck. It was the first time Su Muxue had heard someone say that. She looked at me in surprise, as if I were some alien creature. Seeing my expression of disdain, she couldn't help but laugh through her tears. I rolled my eyes dramatically and took the chance to say, oh right, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jiang Yichin. Su Muxue smiled and replied. She seemed a little friendlier toward me. I quickly followed up, which class are you in? I'm not familiar with the school. Can I come to you if I need help? Honestly, I had a simple goal. I just wanted to be friends with her. She's pretty and smart, a top student, and making friends is my favorite thing to do, especially with capable and intelligent people. Su Muxue nodded. Sure, I'm in class 1 of grade 12. I glanced around the campus. It was completely deserted. Not a single person in sight. They must all be in class. So I told her, I won't keep you from class any longer. I'll go report to the principal's office. I'll find you to hang out later. Bye-bye. I said that and hurried toward the admin building. Su Muxue watched me from behind. Her cold gaze softened slightly. I arrived at the principal's office. I met with the principal. His attitude toward me was surprisingly warm. When I walked in, he even offered me a drink and asked if I wanted any fruit. I sat on the couch with my legs crossed, snacking on treats and fruit. Not long after, a woman walked in. She was wearing black-rimmed glasses. She looked very serious. Principal, may I ask what you need me for? The female teacher respectfully knocked and walked in. The principal immediately took on a formal attitude and solemnly introduced me to her. This is Jiang Yichin, a newly transferred student. He previously studied at an elite high school in the US. His grades are excellent, so I placed him in class 1. Take him to the class in a bit. From now on, he will be a key focus for our school. Understood? Of course, the teacher understood the principal's message. She nodded reluctantly. Then she led me away. The principal even personally saw me off, smiling as he watched me leave. Soon I followed the teacher to the classroom door. I looked at the class sign. It said grade 10, class 1. I was confused. Wasn't I supposed to be in grade 11? The teacher explained, Jiang, our curriculum here is ahead of the foreign one. If you enter grade 11 directly, you might not be able to keep up. Alright, thinking about my academic performance, I decided not to push it. After all, I came back to study with a laid-back attitude. So the grade level wasn't that important. Ms. Wei led me into the classroom. She said to the class, this is Jiang Yichin, a new transfer student. Please welcome him. Now let's have Jiang introduce himself. I stood beside the podium and smiled brightly at everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Jiang Yichin. Male, interested in girls. Please take care of me. Hearing my introduction, the whole class burst into laughter. Many started whispering to each other, this guy is so handsome. Yeah, his skin is so fair. Is our class heartthrob about to lose his title? Shenji's got nothing on him. Is our class heartthrob about to lose his title? What's Shenji compared to him? He's not even half as handsome as this guy. For a moment, all the girls in the class started to cheer. They called out to me, asking me to sit next to them. I smiled and looked around the room, trying to see if there were any pretty girls. Of course, I'd prefer to sit next to a beautiful girl. At least it would be easy on the eyes. Ms. Wei also said, Jiang, you can sit with any student you like, as long as they're okay with it. As soon as the teacher said that, the girls in the class immediately got excited. I thought for a moment and asked, who's the prettiest girl in our class? What I didn't expect was, as soon as I said that, everyone froze. Then they all turned to look in the same direction. But their expressions were all kind of strange. I couldn't care less about their expressions. What does that even mean? I followed their gaze and looked over. It was the last row by the window. Both seats were empty. Could it be that the prettiest girl didn't come today? Of course, I had to choose the most beautiful one, so I smiled and walked over to sit down. Then I said to the teacher, "Ms. Wei, I'll sit here." Ms. Wei's expression was also a bit strange. She kindly said, "Sit wherever you like." Then she tapped the podium with a ruler to quiet down the students. "All right. Take good care of the new student. Let's all be united and friendly, got it? Now, let's continue the lesson." But who could still concentrate on the lesson? All the girls kept peeking over curiously, while the boys looked at me with scrutiny and comparison. The girl in front turned around, smiled sweetly, and said, "Jiang Yichin, you don't have a textbook yet. You can borrow mine." As she spoke, she placed a crumpled textbook in front of me, looking at the dirty textbook. Not even sure what was on it, I could only force a smile and said, "No thanks. You keep it for yourself. I'll just listen in casually." "It's fine. I'll just share with my desk mate." She meant well. I couldn't embarrass her, so I smiled politely. It turned out this class was a foreign language lesson. I may not be great in other subjects, but my foreign language is top-notch. After all, I did study in the US for years. So for me, it felt like an elementary school class. Utterly boring. I yawned. Then the girl in front leaned over again. "Yichin, you don't understand it either, right? How about we chat instead?" I understood just fine. It was just too boring. So I didn't want to listen. But this girl, she couldn't even understand such simple content. I couldn't help but be surprised. I got curious. I thought this class was supposed to be the top one. So I asked her, "Is this a regular class? Is it the worst class? How are classes divided here?" "No, class 1 is the best class." My expression was hard to hold back. I totally looked like I didn't believe her. The girl scratched her head. She said awkwardly, "Actually, it's like this. Usually it's either the best students or the richest who are in class 1. All the others are in regular classes. Even the worst ones are in class 1. There are also a lot of troublemakers and gangs. You should be careful in the future." I suddenly understood. So that's how it is. I suddenly felt this girl was pretty nice, especially since she warned me. So my attitude got better. "Then you must be rich, too. You don't look like a top student." The girl looked a bit embarrassed, trying to save face. She explained, "I'm just not good at foreign languages, but I'm really good at pay." I couldn't help laughing. A girl like you is being good at pay something to be proud of. "Jiang Yichin, you're such a sharp-tongued guy. I was almost fooled by your looks." This is being sharp-tongued. You haven't seen truly sharp-tongued yet. By the way, my name is Chu Mengyao. If you need anything in the future, I can help. Chu Mengyao patted her chest and said she liked me. When I was looking for a pretty girl earlier, she was one of those little beauties. She didn't expect me to be interesting too. I kept chatting with my head down, not noticing at all that the teacher's face on the podium was getting darker. The new student translate the next paragraph. The teacher suddenly called out. I didn't even realize it was me. I was still chatting with my head down, until a girl across the aisle reached over and nudged me. "Jiang Yichin, the teacher is calling you." I snapped out of it and looked up. I met the teacher's angry eyes and asked, "Yes, teacher? Is there something you need?" The teacher's face was priceless. Green and purple, like it could change color. Clearly, she was furious. "Jiang Yichin, translate the second paragraph in the textbook." I shrugged innocently. "But teacher, I don't have a textbook." "If you don't have one, borrow from a classmate." Clearly, the teacher was angry. Not someone you could just brush off. Chu Mengyao looked at me with sympathy. She handed me her textbook again. She whispered, "Just say something randomly. She doesn't dare do anything to you." But the corners of my mouth curled into a confident smile. I casually picked up the textbook, turned to the assigned passage, and fluently read the English out loud. Even with a bit of an American accent, totally different from the teacher's local accent. It sounded so good that the whole class was stunned. Even the teacher stared at me in shock. Her face looked even worse, as if she'd been humiliated. "Teacher, may I sit down now?" I asked with a smile. The teacher's face turned pale. She reluctantly said, "Go ahead, sit down." Chu Mengyao looked at me with admiration. She said, Jiang Yichin, you're amazing. How is your English so good? Your pronunciation was perfect. Looking at your face, I almost thought it was a foreigner talking. I blinked innocently and said, "Didn't I tell you? I came back from the US. I used to attend the best elite high school there." The students eavesdropping all gasped. After class, feeling bored, I decided to look for Qinghai and see how she was enjoying life. I walked to the senior year's classroom building and went straight to class 1 without even needing to think. Based on the intel Chu Ming Yao gave me earlier, I figured this out myself. Even though I didn't know how good Gu Qinghan's grades were, the way she partied every day, they couldn't be great. But the Gu family is super wealthy. Filthy rich, in fact, so of course she would be placed in class 1. Besides, someone as proud as Gu Qinghan, she would absolutely never allow herself to not be in the top class. Soon, I found the classroom for class 1. I peeked in through the back door. Sure enough, I saw Gu Qinghan. That guy is infuriating. She was even sitting next to another boy. The two of them were chatting and laughing together. Seriously, we're engaged now, after all. Isn't it normal for me to feel a little jealous? I told myself. I'm not jealous because I like Gu Qinghan. I'm jealous as her fiancé. That's all. That guy is such a jerk. She knew it was my first day, and I didn't know anything. Yet she didn't even come to check on me. Instead, she's busy flirting with other boys. It's seriously infuriating. My eyes lit up mischievously. I smiled slyly. If you're heartless first, don't blame me for being ruthless. Just you wait. I stepped back, walked to the stairwell, and grabbed a girl. I smiled at her politely and asked softly in a low voice, "Classmate, could you help me call Gu Qinghan for a moment? Just say her husband is looking for her." "Thank you." The girl, a nerdy one with glasses, nodded blankly and said, "Okay, I'll go right away. I'm going now." I hid in the corner and peeked in. Then I saw that nerdy girl walk into class 1. As soon as she entered, she said loudly, "Gu Qinghan, your husband is looking for you." The previously noisy classroom instantly went silent. You could hear a pin drop. I could only imagine the bulging eyes and stunned expressions. Outside the door, I couldn't help but cover my mouth laughing. A few seconds later, I saw Gu Qinghan walking over with a dark face. Yep, that's exactly the look I was expecting. She came over and said, "I knew it was you. You're here to stir up trouble, aren't you?" I crossed my arms and glared back at Gu Qinghan. "You're too busy chatting with other boys, ignoring me completely. Just wait until we get home to the Gu family tonight. I'll tell your mom everything I went through at school today." "Say it again." Gu Qinghan sighed helplessly. "Young Master Jiang, what do you want exactly?" I pointed at my cheek. "Simple. You either come over and kiss me on the cheek, or let me kiss you. Hurry up." Gu Qinghan narrowed her beautiful eyes slightly. She didn't need to look back to know that several people were peeking from behind. When they heard someone call her husband earlier, everyone around was shocked. They were all curious about what was going on. If at this moment, she made an affectionate move toward me, wouldn't that just confirm she really is my wife? That won't do. Doing something like that in public, aren't you ashamed, man? I still have dignity. She made up an excuse to reject me. I was furious. This guy actually doesn't listen to me anymore. "Gu Qinghan, you've changed. You weren't like this before. You used to never refuse me, no matter what I asked. But now, just because of another boy, you don't care about me anymore." "Fine then. All those years of feelings, and you just toss them away." Back then, whenever I told Qinghan to do something, even if she said no with her mouth, she would still secretly do it behind the scenes. So seeing Gu Qinghan like this now, I couldn't help but feel upset. Like there was a heavy stone pressing on my chest. "Fine. I won't force you anymore. Whatever you want," I said coldly, turning to leave. Gu Qinghan sighed, stepped forward, and hugged my waist. Then she slipped naturally into my arms. A pleasant fragrance entered my nose. I instinctively patted her head. Still as soft and nice to touch as always. After a while, Gu Qinghan pulled away from my arms and said, "Okay. You got your hug. Go back to your class. I'll come find you at lunch. I looked all smug, like I used her and tossed her away. No way. I'm not having lunch with you. I met a gorgeous girl today. I'm planning to ask her to lunch instead. Gu Qinghan squinted and asked, beautiful girl. The most beautiful person in this entire school is standing right in front of you, and you're not eating with me. Instead, you want to eat with some other woman. I chuckled and purposely said, I won't keep you school at lunch. I'll pamper you tonight instead. I walked off while Gu Qinghan frowned, watching my back as I left, seemingly lost in thought. Next class was Chinese literature. That class was basically a lullaby to me. In contrast, the girl in front of me, Chu Mingyao, was paying serious attention. Finally, when the class ended, I stretched. That was such an uncomfortable nap. I wish I could have had a pillow. My neck was about to twist off. Chu Mingyao turned around and looked at me, half amused. Do you know how soundly you just slept? I almost got infected by you. School was finally over. I was starving. Let's go eat. Sleep, and then eat. Jiang, are you secretly a pig? We had chatted all morning. Now we were already acting like old friends. It's lunchtime, of course I'm going to eat. Don't tell me you're not eating. Hurry up and take me to the cafeteria. You're treating. Once I get familiar with someone, I tend to act quite casually. Plus, I already knew Chu Mingyao was a rich second generation. Treating a meal wouldn't cost her anything. Fine, I'll treat you. Chu Mingyao tidied up her desk and stood up with me. Just then, I suddenly remembered Su Muxue. Oh right, I still need to find someone. You know the school better. Take me there. Where's the senior class 1 classroom? Before Chu Mingyao could respond, I grabbed her wrist and walked out of the classroom, not caring who was watching. Our eye contact was a little ambiguous. I was afraid if we went late, Su Muxue would be gone. Chu Mingyao looked at me holding her hand, her expression a bit complex. She asked, who are you going to find in class 1, grade 3? I smiled and said, her name is Su Muxue. Do you know her? Chu Mingyao looked surprised. She exclaimed, Su Muxue? That's who you're looking for? What's your relationship with her? I grinned mischievously. If I said we're a couple, would you believe me? Chu Mengyao's eyes widened in shock. No way. So you're her mysterious boyfriend? So she really does have a boyfriend? Hearing that, I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. Chu Mingyao rolled her eyes at me in frustration. So you were lying to me? Ooh, I really thought you were her boyfriend. Come on, tell me. What's up with Su Muxue's mysterious boyfriend? Is he really from our school? Chu Mingyao hesitated. No one knows for sure. Rumor has it, he's had a boyfriend for many years. No one really knows the details. So mysterious, huh? I found it unbelievable. Someone as outstanding as Su Muxue must have tons of boys chasing after her. Yet she still managed to hide her boyfriend so well? Back when I was in America, even the school belle, all her secrets were dug up. When guys get obsessed with someone, it can get scary. Chu Mingyao asked, you don't even know that? Are you really friends with her? Or are you planning to chase her too? No way. I'm not that immoral. I really do see her just as a friend. But she seems pretty famous at school. Why is that? Chu Mingyao nodded. She's very well known. Most people pay to attend school. She earns money by going to school, and she scores first in the nation on every exam. She's brought a lot of glory to the school. Even the principal treats her like a treasure. I had long known that Su Muxue was a top student, but I didn't expect her to be this amazing. While chatting, we arrived at class 3, grade 1. I walked up to the classroom door. I grabbed someone and asked, is Su Muxue still here? Can you ask her to come out for a moment? The boy I stopped looked me up and down. He looked like he was used to this. Another one here to confess to Su Muxue. But you're too late. Someone just asked her out a moment ago. She's probably somewhere handing out a love letter right now. Come back tomorrow. And be early. That guy was waiting outside the classroom before class even ended. After saying that, he waved and left. I was a bit speechless. I wanted to say I was just a friend of Su Muxue's, but the guy didn't give me a chance to explain. He was already gone. Chu Mingyao seemed like she already expected this to happen. She had heard before. That guy's line up to confess to her every day. Now I totally believe it. It's pretty normal. She's so good looking. An academic genius. And has such a warm personality. She must drive a lot of guys crazy. As I said this, I sighed a little. Hearing that, Chu Mingyao looked surprised. Warm? You must be mistaken. Su Muxue is known for being cold and aloof. Even though guys confess to her every day. She doesn't even spare them a glance. I thought about it and shook my head. No way. I think she's quite gentle. Nowhere near as cold as you say. I'd advise you to give up. Su Muxue isn't someone easy to get close to. You probably don't even know her. You're just trying to flirt with her. Chu Mingyao still didn't believe me. She had experienced Su Muxue's aloofness herself before, and she'd never heard of her ever being described as warm. I smiled and shook my head. Forget it. Let's just go eat. A few minutes later, we arrived at the cafeteria. We were just about to look for seats. We ran into some classmates. They waved and called us over. A male classmate teased. Jiang Yichen, Chu Mingyao, why are you two together? You've only just met this morning. Have you already taken a liking to each other? The other classmates smiled ambiguously. They started chanting, get together, get together. A few of them shouted together. Their voices very noticeable in the cafeteria. It drew the attention of others. And when Gu Qinghan walked in, she also heard the commotion. She looked over casually, only to unexpectedly spot me. And of course, Chu Mingyao beside me. Gu Qinghan squinted slightly. This girl was the hot beauty I talked about. Ha, this is what you call a hot beauty? She silently mocked my taste. She had cared a bit about what I said earlier. But seeing the girl's appearance now, any concern vanished into thin air. That quality. How could she compare to her? Gu Qinghan turned without a word and went upstairs. Right behind her was a delicate-looking boy. Gu Qinghan had always been the center of attention. So, when she appeared, our male classmates were immediately drawn to her. Gushing, it's Gu Qinghan. She went upstairs. Why don't we go eat upstairs too? Gu Qinghan really is the star of our school. She's so beautiful. Every move she makes oozes nobility. I raised an eyebrow when I heard that. They're fangirling. I really couldn't take it. She's the school's flower. Isn't there anyone more beautiful than her? I think Su Muxue from grade 12 is also very pretty. As soon as I said that, a few of the guys glared at me. Chu Mingyao quickly tugged on my shirt. She leaned over and whispered, watch what you say. They're all crazy fans of Gu Qinghan. Say one bad word about her, and they'll go after you like mad. I rolled my eyes and muttered, crazy fans. Even asterisk that guy asterisk has crazy fans? Though I hate to admit it. It's honestly hard to find someone better looking than him. Maybe it's because I've been seeing her face. Since I was a kid, I've grown immune to it. Come on, let's go eat upstairs too. The guys stood up at once, gave me a glare, and left the table. They headed upstairs. The girls who stayed behind gave us ambiguous looks. Jiang classmate, why don't you just start dating Chu Mingyao? You two actually look good together. After that, they all burst into laughter together. I rolled my eyes at them and sighed inwardly how boring these people are. Seeing a guy and girl together, do they have to force them into a couple? I casually slung my arm around Chu Mingyao's shoulder and said back at them, Chu Mingyao is great, yeah, I'll think about it. Now quit fussing. After we finished eating and they left, Chu Mingyao finally turned and asked me, were you being serious just now? Just as I was about to reply, I saw Gu Qinghan walking down from the second floor. She looked this way with a gloomy expression. And I also saw that pack of lapdogs behind her. HMPH. To ignore me, her legitimate husband, and not even say hi. And she dares give me attitude. So I turned my head and gave Chu Mingyao a sweet smile, then picked up a piece of braised pork and held it out to her, smiling on my face. But the tone of my words was commanding. Open up. Open your mouth. Chu Mingyao stared at me with question marks over her head, looking surprised and flustered. Wait, you mean you were serious about what you just said? Hurry up, open your mouth. My tone was a bit impatient. Chu Meng Yao gave a sweet smile, opened her mouth and leaned forward, and ate the piece of braised pork I offered. I want to eat that one of yours. Feed me, hurry. I urged her. Out of the corner of my eye, I glanced in Gu Qinghan's direction. Sure enough, Gu Qinghan was still watching me, then casually wrapped her arm around one of her simps and walked out. Do you want fish? Or beef? Chu Meng Yao asked. Whichever, just hurry. Quickly. Chu Meng Yao picked up a piece of meat and held it to my mouth. At that moment, Gu Qinghan had already left the cafeteria. Seeing her gone, I lost all motivation to keep acting. I pushed Chu Meng Yao's chopsticks away. Looking annoyed, I said, "Eat it yourself." I don't feel like eating anymore. Chu Meng Yao looked at me in confusion. Why the sudden change? Just a second ago you were acting all lovey-dovey. Xiang classmate. What's wrong? Don't like fish. How about I give you steak instead? Hearing that, I looked at her. Didn't I already tell you? You need to learn to tell when I'm being serious and when I'm not. Chu Meng Yao looked totally deflated. So what you said earlier wasn't real. She really thought I actually liked her a bit. That I might actually consider dating her. Suddenly, she looked a little hurt. Chu Meng Yao clutched her chest, putting on a heartbroken expression. Very soon, it was the end of the school day. Chu Meng Yao walked with me to the school gate. Her driver had come to pick her up. She asked if I wanted a ride home. I waved my hand. No need. I'll take the bus myself. You go ahead, I said as I pushed her and stuffed her into the car, closed the car door and signaled the driver to leave. Only after the car drove away did I quietly return to the school gate. And what did I see? Gu Qinghan squatting next to a luxury car, looking all sulky, muttering under her breath, "Jiang Yichin. You better hurry up." I smiled slightly at that and walked over to pat her on the shoulder. Gu Qinghan turned and looked up and saw me standing in front of her. I reached out and pulled her up. Trying to hold back a laugh, I said, "Gu Qinghan, you're so childish. Still squatting here? If someone didn't know better, they'd think you were an elementary school kid from next door." Gu Qinghan angrily swatted at me. But there was a smile on her face again. You've got that pretty girl by your side, don't you? I was already thinking of leaving without you. Then she glared at me and asked, You've been sneaking peeks at me, haven't you? So, what if I have? I pinched her nose and said, Let's go home first, then grabbed her arm and shoved her into the car. A while later, we finally got home. The driver pulled into the driveway, and the big iron gate opened. A line of housekeepers stood into rows to welcome us. I got out and pulled Gu Qinghan by the hand toward the house. Standing at the door, the servant immediately opened it for us. The two of us walked in together. Suddenly there was a loud banging sound. It startled us both. Tons of streamers fell on us. Congratulations on your engagement. People inside the house shouted with joy. Gu Qinghan and I were both completely confused. Gu's mom walked over, took my hand happily, and said, Zhao Chun, from now on, you'll be my son-in-law. Gu Qinghan looked around and saw the living room had been festively decorated. A lot of people had been invited too. Everyone was dressed very formally. She frowned slightly, looked at her mom and asked, Mom, what is all this about? Gu's mom replied with a smile, Today is your engagement party. No better time than the present. So we're holding it today. Zhao Chun, come look over here. For your engagement party, I had a beautiful cake specially made. You're going to love it. I was speechless, but got dragged over. In the middle was a 10-tier cake. It looked exquisite and grand. Gu's father came over and patted me on the shoulder. Take good care of Qinghan from now on. Understand, I'm entrusting him to you. You must not let him down. Gu Qinghan was a little speechless. So no one asked for her opinion? No one asked if she agreed. But under Grandpa's stern gaze, she didn't dare to refuse in front of everyone. She couldn't just say no. At the engagement banquet, the Gu family officially announced our engagement to help us develop feelings. There was no rush to marry yet. Besides, neither of us had reached the legal marriage age. Just when I felt relieved, Gu's mom smiled and said once Qinghan turns 18, you can get married abroad. Hearing that, Gu Qinghan pulled me aside and said unhappily, Do you really not want to marry me? I smirked and put my arm around her shoulder. Leaning into her ear, Gu Qinghan, have you secretly had a crush on me all along? Is that why you want to marry me? Gu Qinghan's heart had already sped up because of how close I was, but when she heard that, she glanced at me. She pushed my head away and said, as if I was forced into this too, okay? That's good then. Let's rebel together. Your dad loves you so much. He wouldn't force you to marry someone you don't like, right? As I said the last part, I frowned a little. Does this girl really not like me? I'm not being narcissistic. I actually have reasons to be narcissistic. I don't believe it. There's no way she has no feelings for me. Gu Qinghan seemed to know what I was thinking. She snorted. Sorry, not interested. I can't go along with you, no matter what. Our engagement is already a solid fact. You'd better just accept your fate. Have you accepted it? I narrowed my eyes and studied her. I had a feeling she was hiding something. Gu Qinghan spread her hands and shrugged. I've already accepted it. What are you worried about? Even if we officially get married, I still have to wait until I'm 18. It's still far off. There could be other changes before then. I casually threw my arm around her and said, I'm not worried. Getting married is no big deal. Just being someone's wife. Nothing wrong with that. As I said that, I leaned in as if to kiss her. Gu Qinghan leaned back, avoiding me. Hey, what are you doing? The next second, I suddenly pinned her to the wall. Hey, I gave a mischievous grin. Gu Qinghan, you seriously underestimate men. I don't think you understand men at all. Want to give it a try? Try it. Gu Qinghan was a bit flustered at first, but suddenly composed herself and countered me. Then she suddenly tried to knee me. I dodged swiftly and grabbed her kicking leg in the process. TSK, didn't expect you to be so eager. My dear wife, since you're so passionate, then I won't hold back. Jiang Yichin, Gu Qinghan blushed fiercely. She could only yell out. I chuckled smugly and said, my dear wife, you're amazing. I'll let you go for now. Gu Qinghan pouted stubbornly. You're so gross, she mumbled. Just as I was about to tease her again, she suddenly sensed intense gazes on us. She snapped out of it and looked behind. Nearly everyone present was watching us. All of them had that envious look at young love. Oh no, Gu Qinghan's face turned bright red. We were just messing around and totally forgot we were at an engagement party. Now this is really over the top. We actually acted out a romantic scene in front of so many people. She quickly pushed me away and ran toward the door. So this engagement party ended amidst the laughter of the elders. On the way back, Gu Qinghan, sitting beside me, was still blaming me. It's all your fault. You pinned me against the wall in front of everyone. Just thinking about how embarrassing it was. She slapped my arm. I regretted it a little too. Even though I'm usually shameless, it really was a bit embarrassing in that situation. Alright, it already happened. What's the point of dwelling on it now? It was our engagement party after all. What's wrong with being a little affectionate? I acted like it didn't matter on purpose, just as the driver dropped us off at the luxury apartment. We got out and entered the elevator. I pinned her to the wall again in the elevator. See, nothing to it. Gu Qinghan's face was still red. She slipped out from under my arm. That's because you have thick skin. You don't get embarrassed, but I'm thin-skinned. The elevator arrived. We walked out together. Just as Gu Qinghan scanned her palm to open the door, her phone suddenly rang. It's my mom. Gu Qinghan looked at the caller ID and felt a headache coming on. She had a bad feeling for no reason. Her mom was laughing happily on the phone. She said, Qinghan, I forgot to tell you something. I had your apartment slightly renovated. You're an engaged couple now. From now on, you'll sleep in the same room. That way your relationship can develop faster. Got it. The door opened and we walked inside. We instantly understood what was going on. I'm not allowing you to sleep in separate rooms anymore. You'll sleep together from now on, got it? Otherwise? Hee. I'll send you to Russia right away. Where you can get married at 14. Gu Qinghan let out a sigh. She pinched her brow and said, Got it. Gu's mom chuckled mysteriously. She gave a very specific reminder. I bought some gifts and left them on the bed for you too. Alright, I won't disturb your rest. Good night, moi. Gu Qinghan hung up the phone. Then explained to me. My mom sent over some gifts. After that, Gu Qinghan and I walked into the bedroom. Sure enough, there was a box placed on the bed. It looked quite large too. They didn't even ask me, and just arranged my engagement. Sending some gifts as compensation is the least they can do. Thinking that, Gu Qinghan happily jumped over and opened the box. But when she saw what was inside the box, she was completely stunned. It was actually Durex. The two of us were dumbfounded. Then we looked at each other speechlessly. Gu Qinghan reached into the box and searched. It was entirely full of that brand. At least a few hundred, completely packed. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Giving us this many. How long will it take to use them up? Gu Qinghan glared at me. Who said I'm going to use them with you? I suddenly gave an evil grin, flipped over, and pinned her to the bed. Then I blew softly at her, and said flirtatiously, "Why are you shy? We're already an engaged couple. Come on." Gu Qinghan's delicate little face blushed. Her hands and feet were ice cold as she pushed me away. Then she hugged her chest with both arms. Looking at me cautiously, she said, "Xiang Yichen, you're such a pervert." I scoffed. Teasing her, I said, "It's just a condom. Why are you making such a fuss? Haven't you seen this kind of thing before?" Gu Qinghan got provoked by my words. Immediately unwilling to lose, she raised her little chin proudly and said, "Who says I haven't seen one? I just don't want to use it with you. HMPH, you're such a player. You've had so many girlfriends. Who knows if you have some kind of STD?" Hearing that made me unhappy. And that disgusted look on her face really got to me. I curled my lips and said, "I'm still a virgin, believe it or not." Gu Qinghan looked at me skeptically. "Really? You've had so many girlfriends and you're still a virgin? If you say that out loud, probably no one will believe it." Honestly, I started regretting saying it as soon as I did. If this ever gets out, it's going to be so embarrassing. This would damage my dignity as a man. Qinghan, just pretend I never said that. And you didn't hear anything, okay? I said to her with a flattering tone. Gu Qinghan immediately understood why I was acting that way. She grinned like a cat that just stole something. "You want me to keep the secret for you?" I nodded. Gu Qinghan laughed slyly, raised her little chin, like a proud little young master, and said, "It's not impossible, but you have to do as I say." Then I'll pretend I heard nothing. "Yes, ma'am, whatever you say," I replied. I took Gu Qinghan's small hand and brushed it over the back. "Now that's more like it. I'm easy to talk to. I won't make things hard for you, and I won't make you do anything illegal. It's simple," Gu Qinghan said with a sly smile. "From now on, this room is mine. You sleep on the couch." Hearing that, my smile froze. I looked at her in disbelief, like I couldn't believe what I just heard. "Sleep on the couch," Gu Qinghan, afraid I'd back out, raised a finger, pointed at me, and repeated what I said earlier. "You just said, whatever I say, you'll do it. No backing out now. Now I know what it means to shoot yourself in the foot." I finally experienced it firsthand. Even though I really wanted to go back on my word, I had to consider my male pride. So for now, I'll just go along with her. I kept my promise. Looking generous, I said, though in my heart I was already thinking how to reclaim the bedroom as mine. Gu Qinghan grabbed the pillow and stuffed it in my arms. She waved her hand at me. "Good night then." I could only walk out reluctantly. Around 10 p.m., I was just about to get up to grab a bottle of Coke when I heard the sound of quick footsteps. Gu Qinghan walked out of the room. She was even happily humming a little tune. I sat up suddenly and asked her, "What are you doing out here?" "I'm thirsty, looking for something to drink." Gu Qinghan walked over to the kitchen and took a can of drink out of the fridge. "Grab a can of Coke for me," I shouted at her. Gu Qinghan didn't mind my commanding tone. She was in a good mood now, so she didn't bother arguing with me. So she took a can of Coke and tossed it to me, then sat down on the carpet, leaning against the sofa. She crossed her legs. "Where's the remote? I want to watch TV." She looked around but couldn't find the remote, so she reached her little hand out to me. I felt around the sofa for a bit, found the remote, and handed it to her. I glanced at her profile. This guy has been getting more and more attractive these past few years. Her face used to be round and cute, like a little chubby-cheeked kitten. But now she's grown into her looks. Her chin has a nice sharp angle, Her face looks really refined. That girl who ate with you at the cafeteria today. Is she the beauty you mentioned? Your taste sure has dropped, huh? That's what you call a beauty? She suddenly said out of nowhere. I rolled my eyes at her, the corner of my mouth twitching. Are you jealous? Jealous? Of what? That kind of girl can't compare to me. Gu Qinghan snorted. She was clearly unhappy that I was comparing her to that girl. My beauty level. I'm miles ahead of that girl. I took a sip of my drink and said mysteriously, you guessed wrong. The beauty I was talking about wasn't her. As I said that, I couldn't help but think of Su Muxue again. I wondered if I should go see her again tomorrow. Gu Qinghan noticed me zoning out and suspected I really was thinking about that beautiful girl. She couldn't help but feel a bit jealous. Then tell me, who is this great beauty of yours? I don't believe it. Is there anyone on campus prettier than me? I grinned mischievously. I'm not telling you. Anyway, I know you're not the only joke on campus. Hearing that, Gu Qinghan got a little annoyed. Look at you, smiling like that, it's so obvious. You like her, don't you? Jiang Yichin, don't forget you're my husband now. You're thinking of cheating? Hearing that, I stopped smiling. Cheating? Come on, dear wife. You have quite a few admirers yourself, don't you? What right do you have to accuse me of cheating? Anyway, I won't stop you from hanging out with handsome guys, so don't stop me from chasing girls either. Really? Then let's pinky promise. Gu Qinghan looked at me with a playful expression. Although I thought it was childish, I still linked pinkies with her, just like when we were little, hook pinky, then press thumbs together. At that moment, it felt like we had gone back to childhood, back when the two of us were always together, inseparable. As kids, we were each other's only friend. Gu Qinghan suddenly remembered something and said, oh right, when we were little. I think you were around 3 or 4. I remember my parents saying, we were betrothed as children. Then she realized I was hugging her in my arms, my hands possessively wrapped around her waist. Our posture was basically like lovers. She immediately pressed her hands against my chest, trying to get up. Let go of me. I want to go to bed. I gave her a pitiful look and said, Qinghan, do you still remember back then? When we were little, we used to sleep together all the time too. Yeah, so what? She figured I suddenly brought it up because I had something sneaky in mind. I gestured toward the sofa. I said, the sofa might be okay for lounging, but it's not comfortable for sleeping. Could you really bear to see me suffer from insomnia? Then I won't be able to go to class tomorrow. Gu Qinghan leaned against me. This guy was trying to play the sympathy card. But when she glanced at the sofa, she had to admit, if she had to sleep on the couch every night, it'd be really uncomfortable too. It's fine to lie down for a short rest, but not to sleep all night. Wife, I wrapped my arms around her waist, coaxing her cutely. All right, I'll let you back into sleep, okay? Gu Qinghan finally softened. You're so kind, dear wife. My sweet talking worked, but then Gu Qinghan pointed at me seriously. But let's make this clear first. From now on, the bedroom is my territory. When you're in my territory, you listen to me. Understood? I made an okay gesture toward her, then finally let go, grabbed my pillow, and wrapped my arm around her as we walked to the bedroom. Wife, let's go sleep. Gu Qinghan pretended to be annoyed. Who said I'm sleeping with you? We're sleeping separately. If it weren't for the fact that the bed in the room was big enough, it was still more than enough for 2 people. She wouldn't have agreed to share it. All right, separately then. Just don't sneak attack me at night. Who knows? You might not be able to resist my charm in the middle of the night. PFFT, say one more word and you're out. I wisely shut up, grinning as I hugged her and entered the room. Then I closed the door. The next morning, sunlight streamed clearly into the room. I had a really restful sleep. I snuggled into whatever I was hugging and drooled a little onto it. I was still sound asleep when someone started pushing me gently. Jiang Yichin, wake up. So annoying. Don't bother me. I irritably swatted away that fly, told her not to disturb my sleep. Yichin, hurry up and get up. You're going to be late for class. Class? I suddenly snapped awake. Opened my eyes right. I have to go to school today. I have to go see Su Muxue. Just thinking about that beautiful girl made all my sleepiness vanish. I opened my eyes excitedly. stretched lazily, and looked at the person in front of me. Gu Qinghan was giving me a cheeky look. You had the nerve to tell me not to sneak attack you yesterday, and now look who's sneak attacking home. You womanizer. You even want me now. I grabbed her finger tightly, squinted my eyes, and stared at her. I stated the truth bluntly. Take a good look. This side of the bed is mine. You're the one who came over. Of course, I wasn't going to tell her what she did last night while asleep. Gu Qinghan froze for a second, then looked at the bed beside us. Sure enough, a big half of it was empty. The two of us had squeezed onto her side. And what's worse, I was hugging her like an octopus. So who attacked whom? Just looking at the position made it obvious. Gu Qinghan looked a little embarrassed. I watched with interest, smirking at her, waiting to see how she'd admit it was her fault. But Gu Qinghan quickly responded, snorting like an arrogant princess. What do you mean your side of the bed? Don't forget, this whole bedroom is mine. This side of the bed is just temporarily lent to you. So it's still mine. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing my expression, Gu Qinghan looked extremely pleased. If you're unhappy with that, then go sleep on your sofa. I kindly lent you my bed, and you still dare to complain. I helplessly raised my hands. Okay, you win. I really couldn't find a reason to refute her. So I just gave in. The two of us got up. After washing up, we headed to school. We were almost there. I stared out the car window in boredom. Suddenly, a beautiful figure entered my line of sight. Su Muxue. I widened my eyes in delight. I saw her walk into that same cake shop from yesterday, so I quickly shouted to Gu Qinghan, stop the car. Quick, stop. What is it? We're not there yet, Gu Qinghan asked, but still told the driver to pull over. If someone sees me getting out of your car, how am I supposed to pick up girls? After that, I spread my hand and wiggled my fingers. Give me some cash. Gu Qinghan sighed helplessly. She pulled out her wallet and placed it into my palm, and grumbled, why don't you go get money yourself? I don't have time. I smiled and squinted at her while beckoning with my finger. Gu Qinghan looked at me, puzzled. She thought I was going to whisper something. Without thinking too much, she leaned closer. I suddenly kissed her on the cheek with a loud smack. Smiling, I said, thanks, wifey. Then I slipped out of the car before she could react. Gu Qinghan was stunned for a moment, then laughed. This guy? Really? Then she watched me disappear into the crowd. She couldn't help but feel like I was acting strange just now. Meanwhile, inside the cake shop, I smiled brightly. I walked up behind Su Muxue, tapped her on the shoulder. Hello. Su Muxue turned around, surprised it was me. She frowned slightly. You again? Yup. Looks like fate keeps bringing us together. Then I saw she was buying cake again. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't help but think, could it be she's buying for her boyfriend again? If that's true, then her mysterious boyfriend must also be a Shangdi student, Su Muxue said to the clerk. One slice of strawberry cake, please. I raised my hand and said to the clerk too. I'll take a slice too. Then I also ordered a cup of milk tea. After that, we left the cake shop together. Just as we stepped out of the shop, I saw a luxury car not far away. It looked like Gu Qinghan's car. At that moment, she was sitting in the car, looking directly at us. Her eyes were gloomy, staring at Su Muxue and me with an unclear expression. I thought to myself, oh no, I've been caught in the act. So I quickly said to Su Muxue, I'm not familiar with this area. I don't know where to get good breakfast. Hurry, take me to eat something. Soon, we entered a breakfast shop. On Su Muxue's recommendation, I ordered a serving of soup dumplings. After finishing the soup dumplings, when we walked out of the shop together, I cautiously looked around in both directions, confirming that Gu Qinghan's car was gone. I finally let out a sigh of relief. What's wrong? Su Muxue noticed my odd behavior and asked. I smiled and shook my head. Nothing. Oh, right. I went to your class to look for you yesterday, but you weren't there. Your classmates said you were called out by a girl who confessed to you. Is that true? I turned her down. Su Muxue replied calmly, then looked at me and asked, did you need something? Not really. I just wanted to say I'm not familiar with the campus. Thought you could be my guide. I guiltily touched my nose. Actually, I already had Chimeng Yao as my guide. We walked together. When we reached the school gate, since it was almost class time. There were a lot of students rushing in. Immediately, I felt all the eyes staring at us. I didn't even have to guess. It was clearly because of Su Muxue. But she seemed totally unfazed. Obviously used to it. As we reached the school entrance, Su Muxue casually glanced at the security guards. She noticed one of them was new, and the one from yesterday was no longer there. The two guards were chatting with each other. Among them, the senior security guard sighed, "You need to be more alert in the future. Don't be like GamLii. He offended someone by accident and got fired." Hearing that, Su Muxue looked at me. "It was just a small matter. But you caused the security guard to lose his job. I don't even know him. I had no grudge against him. Why should I be afraid of him losing his job? I was just trying to make my position clear. No grudge or resentment. When he stopped you yesterday, weren't you angry? And that phone call, it was from the principal, right? If you weren't someone important, would the principal personally receive you?" Su Muxue's tone began to change. She spoke accusingly, "With your power and money, just a single word from you can determine someone's fate. Do you know what that job meant to that security guard? His child was just born. Every month, just on milk powder and diapers alone, it cost 1 to 2,000 yuan, not to mention household expenses. He lost that job. Do you know what that means? Sorry. I don't like being friends with people who abuse their power." Su Muxue said that and didn't even care. That I was completely stunned. She turned and walked away. Soon, I gloomily arrived at the classroom. From Chu Mengyao I found out that Su Muxue actually came from a humble background. She's from a single-parent family. Her mother used to work part-time and was bullied by the wealthy. So she has a strong prejudice against rich people. One immediately understood why Su Muxue had gotten so angry. It was probably Gu Qinghan standing up for me. Who got that security guard fired? After all, her father is the school's board chairman. So, basically, the school belongs to her family. Of course, she can do whatever she wants. So after class, I rushed straight to the senior year building. I went looking for Su Muxue. When I arrived at the senior year section, I stopped a boy and said, "Hi? Can you call Su Muxue for me? Just say Jiang Yichin is looking for her, thanks." The boy looked at me, then hesitated. He stared teasingly and said, "Oh, it's you? Confessing your love so early today? Not bad, very sincere." That guy turned out to be the one I bumped into yesterday. He walked into the classroom and shouted, "Su Muxue, another handsome guy is looking for you. He says his name is Jiang Yichin." I waited by the door. I thought Su Muxue wouldn't come out. When she saw me, her attitude was cold. "What do you want?" "I want to talk to you. Can you give me a few minutes?" I said calmly, "All right." She replied, "So." We went to an open space next to the teaching building. Facing her, I solemnly said, "About the security guard being fired. Whether you believe it or not, I had no idea about it. When I roughly figured out what happened, I planned to try to fix it. You didn't know the full story, but you put all the blame on me. Don't you think that's unfair?" After that, I turned to leave. Seeing my determination and stubbornness, her dark eyes slightly trembled. In that moment, she realized she had wrongly blamed me. She had assumed I was like other guys, approaching her with an agenda. So she instinctively treated me like one of those rich, powerful brats, a spoiled rich kid. As I was about to leave, she suddenly reached out and grabbed my wrist. "I'm sorry. As for your apology, I reserve the right to consider it." After saying that, I pulled my hand away and left. Next stop, I went to the principal's office, even though the bell had already rung. I couldn't bother with that. I boldly barged into the principal's office. At that moment, the principal was dozing off with his chin in his hand when he heard the door slam. His arm jolted in shock, and his head slammed into the desk. He held his forehead in pain, about to start scolding in anger. But when he saw it was me, his face immediately changed into a smile. Student Shijiang, what can I help you with? Come, have a seat." I walked straight to his desk and slammed the table. "Principal, why did you fire that security guard? Was it because of me? Was it an order from Gu Qinghan? You should let that guard come back to work. No way, a cold and commanding voice interrupted. Gu Qinghan entered with a stern face. Why are you here? I was a bit surprised to see Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan snorted and walked right up to me. I disagree with what you just said. Then she turned to the principal and said sternly, Principal, someone I dismissed will never be rehired. Got it. Seeing her show up so suddenly, the principal, who had been sitting, stood up in fright. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, nodded submissively, and said stiffly, Understood. Qinghan, I'll absolutely do as you say. Hearing this, I frowned. Looking at Gu Qinghan, I asked, Have a grudge against that security guard? Why are you cutting off his livelihood? Gu Qinghan walked up to me and said angrily, I did it to stand up for you. It's for that Su Muxue, isn't it? I looked at her confused. You know Su Muxue? Gu Qinghan pouted in irritation. We've got history. How could I not know her? Su Muxue already has a boyfriend, don't you know? Everyone's talking about how you're trying to seduce her all over campus. Yichin, how could you be that kind of person? Now she finally understood. The gorgeous girl I had mentioned before was actually Su Muxue. Thinking about that, Gu Qinghan became furious all over again, and this morning, the reason I suddenly got off the car was because I saw Su Muxue. Then I left her behind. I looked at the tears suddenly falling from Gu Qinghan's eyes. I was completely stunned. Stupid Jiangyi, I never want to talk to you again. Gu Qinghan glared fiercely at me, screamed while crying, then turned and ran out. I clenched my fist. My expression darkened. I just admired Su Muxue. It's not like I wanted to chase after her. I never intended to steal her from her boyfriend. So I quickly ran out after her. But I was a few seconds too late. After I left the principal's office, Gu Qinghan was nowhere to be seen. I was so frustrated I wanted to punch something. I chased down the stairs in her direction, but I didn't realize Gu Qinghan was actually hiding in the corner of the staircase. As I rushed out in a panic, my shadow passed right in front of her. But I didn't notice she was hiding in the dark. Gu Qinghan looked up for a moment, then buried her head in her knees in anger. Damn you, Jiang Yichin, you idiot. Tears streamed down again. She crouched there, crying with muffled sobs. After school in the afternoon, Gu Qinghan thought about how I showed up yesterday. Her anger had almost turned into amusement. But she still waited at the door for over 10 minutes. The sky gradually darkened, yet I never showed up. Gu Qinghan's expression turned cold. She finally couldn't hold back and shouted, Jiang Yichin, hurry and come out. You must be hiding somewhere. Watching me panic, right? But another minute passed, and still no one came. Gu Qinghan suddenly felt heartbroken. She thought maybe I had already left. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. So, Gu Qinghan made a decision. She was going to run away from home. But if I don't go home, where can I go? If I stay at the Gu residence, Jiang Yichin would just feel reassured. It wouldn't have any real effect. No, if I'm running away from home, I have to make sure she doesn't know where I am. I have to make her worry about me. In the end, Gu Qinghan made a decision. She was going to stay at a hotel. And not just any hotel, the best one. Half an hour later, Gu Qinghan was standing in front of a magnificent and luxurious hotel, as expected from a 6-star hotel. As soon as she got out of the car, a valet opened the door for her. With a warm smile, the attendant greeted her. Welcome. Are you checking in? Yes, Gu Qinghan was a young heiress by nature, so her elegance needed no effort. She carried herself with grace and nobility. She was led to the front desk. The receptionist wore a professional smile and asked warmly, Hello, miss. What type of room would you like to stay in? Gu Qinghan thought for a moment, then said, I want the best presidential suite. The receptionist was stunned for a second, as if she doubted what she heard. She quickly asked, Miss, are you sure? Our presidential suite cost. But Gu Qinghan didn't care about the price at all. In less than a minute, Gu Qinghan had received her room key. She took the hotel elevator up. The elevator reached the top floor. There were only 3 presidential suites here. She stayed in the one in the middle, which had the best view. A staff member escorted her up and opened the door for her. After that, he quietly left. Gu Qinghan tipped her and sent her away. The presidential suite was absolutely luxurious. Even just the living room was incredibly spacious. Gu Qinghan let out a happy cry, then threw herself onto the sofa. So comfortable. Even the sofa was incredibly cozy. She lay there and gradually began to feel drowsy. The night slowly deepened. When I got back to the apartment, it was already 11 p.m. I was in a terrible mood. I went drinking alone, but I got so annoyed in the end that I came back directly. Even though I didn't want to admit it, I was still worried about that dumb girl Gu Qinghan. When I got inside, I found the apartment completely dark. I frowned immediately. I had a bad feeling. That girl hasn't come home yet, has she? I quickly turned on the light and called out into the air, Gu Qinghan. No response. My face turned grim. I searched every room one by one. Sure enough, she wasn't back. It was already 11 p.m., and she still hadn't come back. I punched the wall hard. God damn you, Gu Qinghan. You idiot. You didn't even come home. I was so mad I was about to lose my mind. If Gu Qinghan were in front of me right now, I would definitely give her a proper lesson. Spank her good. But right now, the priority was to find her. What if something bad happened? Thinking about that, my expression turned grim. I felt deeply regretful. I should have come home earlier. It's already 11 p.m. What if that dumb girl had already been completely taken advantage of? This was no time to be sulking anymore. I quickly tried calling her phone, but it was turned off. I narrowed my eyes. A possibility came to mind. Did that girl actually block me? So I tried calling her from the landline at home. I dialed her mobile number again, and this time it wasn't unavailable. She really did block me. I was so furious my chest was heaving. I swore that once I found her, I would give her one hell of a spanking. The call connected. Gu Qinghan's voice came through. It was muffled, like her mouth was full. Don't tell me she's eating. Where are you? I asked her. Gu Qinghan paused on the other end. Clearly, she recognized my voice. After a short pause, she snorted and said, Not telling you. If you have the skills, find me yourself. Until you apologize, I don't want to talk to you. With that, she hung up with a click. I stared at the receiver for a moment, the corner of my mouth lifting into a sly smile. You think I can't find you? Just wait and see. I headed to the study, turned on the computer, and took out another phone. I dialed Gu Qinghan's number again. She picked up the call. I deliberately waited a moment while my fingers flew across the keyboard. Then I finally said, Give me a hint at least. How am I supposed to know where you are? Hearing my voice again, she laughed playfully and said, A hint, huh? Let me think. I'm somewhere really luxurious. It's very comfy here. I'm enjoying myself right now. Can you guess where I am? All right, I'll find you. Just wait. I narrowed my eyes at the result on my screen. I already knew where she was. Before Gu Qinghan could say anything else, I hung up. Gu Qinghan looked confused. She stared at her phone for a while, wondering if she had missed something. Or maybe she accidentally gave away her location? Thinking back, nope, she snorted in her mind. She tossed the phone aside and continued eating her fruit. No way he can actually find me. 20 minutes later, lying on the sofa, Gu Qinghan yawned. She stretched and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, enjoying the beautiful night view. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Gu Qinghan was puzzled. Hadn't all the things she ordered already been delivered? Was something missing? Without thinking much, she walked over and opened the door. The moment she saw who it was, Gu Qinghan was shocked. Jiang Yichen, how did you know I was here? She could hardly believe it. I actually found her. Come home with me. I grabbed her wrist and tried to leave. Gu Qinghan frowned, struggling hard to break free. I don't want to go back. The strength difference between men and women was too big. When she couldn't get free, she stomped on my foot hard. I let go in pain, and she took the opportunity to push me out. She slammed the door shut with a bang. I walked over and pounded the door. Gu Qinghan, open the door. It's so late already. Come home with me. Gu Qinghan pressed her back against the door in defiance. I'm not going back. I frowned, wondering how to get in. Just then, a man in a suit approached. I used some connections and explained that this was my wife's room. Soon I got the key card and entered the room. Gu Qinghan, Not hearing any sound outside, thought to herself, did Jiang Yichin actually leave? Just as she was sulking, she heard a beep. The sound of a keycard scanning. Then the door opened. Gu Qinghan had been leaning against the door and was pushed down onto the carpet. I walked in and saw her like that. I said teasingly, "What are you doing lying on the carpet?" Although my tone was playful, I still walked over and reached out to pull her up. Gu Qinghan pouted and glared at me. She questioned, "How did you get a room card? This hotel is really unreliable." They actually gave the room card to someone else. I smirked wickedly and said deliberately, "Because I told the manager that you're my wife." Gu Qinghan snorted, shook off my hand, and went to sit on the sofa. She hugged a pillow to her chest. Angrily, she said, "Who's your wife?" "I'm telling you, I'm really angry this time. If you don't apologize, I absolutely won't forgive you." I walked over and sat beside her, pulling her into my arms. "Hey, what are you doing?" I suddenly curled my lips into a smile and unexpectedly pushed her down. She fell onto the sofa, with no way to escape. Haven't you heard the saying? Quarrel at the head of the bed, make up at the end. As I spoke, I lowered my face a little more, shortening the already small distance between us. Now we were even closer. Gu Qinghan tensed up, not daring to move. She glared at me. "Why are you getting so close? Get off. Let me up." Although when we were little, we were used to playing and hugging like this. Now that we're grown up, it just feels different. I grinned mischievously and deliberately said flirtatiously, "I think this feels really nice." Gu Qinghan said, "Nice for you, but not for me. Get off already. Can't we just talk normally?" "Talk normally," I said, and only let her go once I got in my way. Was I really that shameless, giving in so easily? Gu Qinghan suddenly felt like she had been tricked. She leaned against the corner of the sofa. She hugged a pillow, as if using it as a metaphor. I did the same as her, sat cross-legged, facing her. I scooted a bit closer before saying, "Tell me, how should I apologize for you to forgive me?" Just like when we were kids and I tried to coax her. We'd sit like this and make deals. As long as I gave her what she wanted, everything was fine. Gu Qinghan thought about all the grievances from today. She pouted and glared at me, saying, "You were really out of line today." I recalled what had happened earlier today. Honestly, I wasn't feeling great either. After all, it was the first time I saw her crying and heartbroken like that. And the one who caused it all was me. I scratched my head in frustration and explained, "I'm sorry. I just see Su Muxue as a friend. That's all. I know she has a boyfriend. No matter how much I admire her, I would never ruin her relationship." Gu Qinghan listened to my explanation and felt a lot better. Then she looked at me in surprise and asked, "How did you know I was at this hotel?" I chuckled softly, reached out and brushed her nose lightly. "As long as it's something I want to know, nothing can be kept from me." Gu Qinghan looked at me in disbelief. Her mouth hung wide open. Clearly, she believed it until a fly flies in. I suddenly said that. Gu Qinghan was startled and quickly shut her mouth, her eyes a bit panicked. But she soon realized she'd been tricked. She angrily hit me with the pillow in her hand. "You liar jerk. Have you forgotten? We're officially engaged. You're my fiancé now. If something really happened between you and Su Muxue, where would that leave my pride?" I grabbed the pillow and even took it from her. I shot back, "You dare talk about me? What about you? Don't you have a whole bunch of admirers?" Gu Qinghan frowned. "What do you mean a bunch of admirers? I don't have a bunch of admirers." Still denying it, I pointed at her nose and waved in the air. "Just the ones from Shandy are plenty. And from other schools too. Which one of them isn't a simp for you? Anyway, I think you're naive. One day someone's going to trick you into being sold." "Don't call me naive." Gu Qinghan, with no pillow left, hit me with her arm instead. I grinned wickedly and took the opportunity to grab her outstretched hand, then pulled her close and locked her into my arms. "Gu Qinghan, silly little fool, little dummy, little idiot," I deliberately chanted, while messing up her hair. "You jerk. You're still saying it. You're still saying it." Gu Qinghan shouted at me, her slender hands waving around in front of me, trying to hit me. I easily grabbed her smaller hands with one hand, making her unable to move. "Hee hee. You lost." I laughed triumphantly, like a mischievous little boy who had just pulled off a prank. Gu Qinghan struggled with me for a while. She looked annoyed and said with a sulky face, "You jerk. You didn't go easy on me at all. Back when we were kids, we used to be evenly matched. But now she's so petite. The difference between us is huge. There's no way she could beat me." The space on the sofa was limited. We were messing around without restraint. Neither of us noticed how intimate we looked until Gu Qinghan felt my gaze. She quickly turned away and sat to the side. I adjusted myself, then sat down next to her and asked, "Do you still remember what you loved most as a kid?" "What is it?" Gu Qinghan sat beside me, leaned back on the sofa, and turned to glance at me. The two of us stared at each other like that. "Is there a reward if I guess right?" Gu Qinghan smiled with a glint of mischief. "Guess first and I'll tell you." I intentionally played coy, then pulled out my phone and hid it by my side. I hid it so she couldn't see, then typed out a message and sent it to someone from childhood. "How young exactly?" she asked. "It's something you've loved since you were little, and I'm sure you still love it now." I wasn't stingy about giving her a hint. Her eyes blinked like black grapes. Then she said, "Ice cream?" I smiled and pinched her cheek. "Always thinking about food. Aren't you afraid you'll turn into a little chubby girl?" "It's not food." Gu Qinghan noticed that part. "It's not food." Gu Qinghan tapped her lips with her finger. Looking completely clueless, she said gloomily, "There are so many things I like. How am I supposed to guess?" "I give up. Just tell me directly." She started to act spoiled again, tugging at my clothes. At that moment, my phone rang. I answered and turned my head to the side, so she wouldn't hear it. Gu Qinghan sensed something was fishy, so she pounced on me, but the call only lasted a few seconds. She couldn't catch anything from it at all. Gu Qinghan stared at me with curiosity and anticipation. "Come on, tell me. What exactly is the gift?" I curled my lips into a smile, looking charming and handsome, and said, "Weren't you complaining that my apology wasn't sincere enough? This time, I prepared an apology gift for you. If you like it, then forgive me, okay?" "Well, that depends on what the gift is." Gu Qinghan put on a show of indifference, but inside she was already bursting with joy. Ever since we were young, every gift I prepared for her, she had always liked, because I always remembered what she liked. "Come on." I took her hand and pulled her up from the sofa, then led her to the large floor-to-ceiling window. We stood on the transparent glass floor. We stared at the night view outside, the most beautiful night view in the city. The next second, boom, a firework exploded in the sky, like a brilliant flower blooming on a black canvas. "A flower?" she exclaimed. "It's fireworks." "It really is fireworks," she cried out in delight, excitedly tugging at my sleeve. I stood there smiling slightly and proudly. Fireworks shot up and burst continuously. They were so beautiful it was hard to look away. In just a few minutes, over 100 fireworks had exploded. Then they slowly faded and disappeared. Gu Qinghan still hadn't had enough, but she calmed down a bit, then turned to look at me. She asked, "Was this the surprise you prepared?" I nodded, with a charming smile on my lips. "Do you like it?" Gu Qinghan smiled happily. "I love it." "Fine. I'll admit you were sincere. Then I'll forgive you." I reached out and hooked my arm around her shoulder, then led her away from the window. "Go watch TV by yourself for a bit." Then I headed for the bathroom, while taking off my clothes. Gu Qinghan saw me take off my t-shirt and was stunned speechless. Her cheeks even started to turn a little red. She asked, "What are you doing?" she quickly questioned. I hung my shirt over my shoulder and shot her a glance. With a mischievous smile, I said, "Taking a shower. And I'm not leaving. I'm spending the night here." Gu Qinghan froze. "You're sleeping here." "Why are you sleeping here?" But I ignored her and went to take a shower. Gu Qinghan let out a groan and collapsed on the sofa. Suddenly, as if remembering something, she flipped over and sat up, then ran to the bathroom door. She knocked on the door and shouted, "Hey, just so you know, you're sleeping on the sofa. Don't even think about sleeping with me." It was already very late. While I was showering outside, she ran back into the bedroom to take a shower, and even locked the bedroom door. That way, she wouldn't have to worry about me sneaking in. However, when she finished showering and walked out of the bathroom, she saw me calmly, sitting on the bed playing with my phone. She asked in shock, "How did you get in?" I clearly locked the door. I didn't explain. Instead, I patted the spot next to me. "Come on over. It's already late. Time for bed." Gu Qinghan walked over and stood by the bed. Hands on her hips, she pointed at me. "Tell me now. How did you get in?" I smirked mischievously and said, "I have a room card." "You forgot. Come on up. It's not like we haven't slept together before. What are you shy about? Who's shy? Gu Qinghan walked over and climbed into bed, lifted the blanket and got under it, then lay down right next to me. I put down my phone too and turned off the light. The room became dark. A dozen minutes passed, but Gu Qinghan still wasn't sleepy. She turned over and looked toward me. In the moonlight, she could see my eyes closed, as if I was already asleep. She pouted slightly. How did he fall asleep so fast? She softly called out, Jiang Yichun. Yichun. Actually, she didn't really want to wake me. She just wanted to call out, to see if I was really asleep. By the last syllable, I suddenly opened my eyes and asked, What is it? Are you asleep? I can't fall asleep, she whispered quietly to me. I scoffed. If I were asleep, how could I be talking to you? I turned to look at her too. We both lay on our sides, facing each other. There was just one head's distance between us. Qinghan, you haven't called me like that in a long time. I looked at her quietly, because her face was facing the window. Under the moonlight, I could see her face more clearly. Gu Qinghan blinked her long and curled eyelashes. As if puzzled, she asked, Call you Chun? I smiled slightly. Yeah, didn't you always call me that when we were kids? But after growing up, she stopped calling me that so casually. She mostly used my full name instead. And every time she did, it sounded like she was mad at me. Honestly, I preferred when she called me like she did as a child. It felt more intimate. I totally forgot. Gu Qinghan paused and thought for a moment. She really did use to call me Chun back then. Sometimes when she was being clingy, she'd shake my hand and call me Brother Chun. Gu Qinghan said, All right then, I'll start calling you that again. But in exchange, you have to count sheep for me. Count sheep? I looked at her with amusement. She grinned. Yeah, I can't fall asleep, but it's really late. Staying up till late is bad for a girl's skin. So I want to fall asleep quickly. You count sheep for me. I'm too lazy to count. I was both amused and helpless. Too lazy to count, so she made me do it instead. What a clever one, huh? Fine, I'll count for you. But people don't count sheep anymore these days. Then, what do they count? Gu Qinghan asked curiously. I smiled and said, They count dumplings. Because dumplings sounds like sleeping dumpling. Haha, dumplings. That's hilarious. All right, you count for me, Gu Qinghan said as she shifted to a comfortable position, getting ready to fall asleep to the sound of dumplings. I started counting. 1 dumpling, 2 dumplings, 3 dumplings. Wait, I had only counted a few before she stopped me. No, we can't count those. When you say that, I can only think about dumplings. I'm hungry now. Let's count something else, she muttered in frustration, trying hard to chase away the thought of dumplings from her mind. But now I'm really hungry. I thought for a moment, then suddenly smiled and said, All right, then how about this? 1 Qinghan, 2 Qinghan, 3 Qinghan. Gu Qinghan laughed in surprise. She nodded in satisfaction. That works. So, in the darkness, my deep and gentle voice echoed. 4 Qinghan, 5 Qinghan, 6 Qinghan, 7 Qinghan. The next morning, when Gu Qinghan opened her eyes, she looked down and saw the two of us were once again cuddling just like last time. She frowned in confusion, murmuring, How did this happen? Why is it that every time I sleep with Jiang Yichun, I always wake up like this? And what's even stranger, if it was her habit of hugging things while sleeping, then she should have been the one hugging me. But somehow, she was the one curled up in my arms. Gu Qinghan struggled to get out of my arms. With sleepy eyes, she sat up. Still not fully awake, she patted my shoulder. I was woken up by her and opened my eyes. My face was a little grumpy from just waking up. I glanced at her with irritation. I'm such a masochist, I suddenly muttered, not realizing Gu Qinghan heard me. She asked, What? What did you say? What was that? I sat up and stretched lazily. Gu Qinghan leaned closer curiously, as if she noticed something. Did you not sleep well? Your eyes are bloodshot. I turned toward her, annoyed. I had to count sheep for you. I could only sleep after you fell asleep. Then I got disturbed halfway through. How could I have slept well? Disturbed by me? What did I do? Gu Qinghan asked, confused. My expression turned a little awkward, as if I didn't know how to say it. I buried my head under the blanket, intending to go back to sleep. Jiang Yichun, you're so annoying. You always stop halfway when you talk. What exactly did I do to you yesterday? Tell me. I'm so curious. They say curiosity killed the cat. Gu Qinghan was clearly intrigued. If I didn't give her an answer, she wouldn't stop bothering me. I reached a finger out from under the blanket. What did you promise me yesterday? Gu Qinghan suddenly remembered. I know now. Brother Chun, tell me, please. Hurry, tell me. She had slept really well last night. She basically closed her eyes and opened them to daylight. It was such a sweet sleep, so she had no memory of what she did at all. I was annoyed from being disturbed. I glared at her sleepily. Anyway, I didn't sleep well because of you last night. So, to make it up to me, go order breakfast and bring it over from me. Stop bothering me. Let me sleep a little more. Gu Qinghan saw I was really tired. Sleepiness like that couldn't be faked. She softened up and gently said, all right, then I'll get up first. You sleep a bit more. I grunted in response and shut my eyes again. Gu Qinghan didn't dare disturb me. She carefully got out of bed and left the room. After washing up, she sat cross-legged on the sofa and called room service to bring breakfast. Actually, I didn't sleep much longer, just caught another 10 minutes or so. Then I recalled how Gu Qinghan, what Qinghan did to me. I gave a bitter smile. The truth is, Gu Qinghan, that girl has terrible sleeping postures. She kicks in her sleep. Since the first night we slept together, she's already kicked me once, and when I was sound asleep, she nearly kicked me off the bed. So I had no choice but to hold her tightly. Only then could I sleep properly. So that's why every time we wake up, we're always in a cuddling position. At first, I thought she did it on purpose that first night, but after getting kicked again last night, I knew it was real. I got out of bed and went to wash up in the bathroom. Gu Qinghan saw me. You're up already? Not sleeping a bit more? Just then, breakfast was delivered to our hotel room. After we finished eating, we checked out and left the hotel. However, just around the hotel corner, there was a camera pointed right at us, snapping photos. Monday morning, I had just sat down in class. When Chu Mengyao turned around, Yichen, are you okay? She looked very worried. I was puzzled. What could be wrong with me? Chu Mengyao hesitated before asking. Is it true that you confessed to Su Muxue? Do you really like her? Then I suddenly remembered that video. Of course not. I just needed to talk to her about something. Chu Mengyao clearly looked relieved. Really? You don't like her? I gave a wry smile. I admire her, sure. She's such an outstanding girl, who wouldn't like her? Chu Mengyao relaxed. But you better clarify things. I'll help you out. I waved my hand. Don't worry about it. In a few days, no one will care. But Chu Mengyao frowned again. You don't know Su Muxue has a lot of admirers. They might. I cut her off. Don't worry, with Gu Qinghan backing me up, no one would dare mess with me. At that moment, Chu Mengyao lowered her voice. By the way, I heard the school beauty searched all over campus for you last Friday. She even broke up with Bai Dao. Everyone's saying she's planning to chase after you. My eyes lit up. She really looked all over school for me. No wonder she was so mad that day. I looked down and started texting Gu Qinghan. Chu Mengyao asked anxiously, do you really not like the school beauty? What if she really tries to chase you? Just then, the teacher walked in, cutting off our conversation. When class ended, I received a message on my phone. I stared at the screen, frowning. Chu Mengyao turned and caught the look on my face. What is it? I quickly walked toward the door. Nothing. I just need to step out. Chu Mengyao chased after me. Who sent the message? Where are you going? But she couldn't find any trace of me. At the stairwell corner, 3 boys blocked my path. You're Jiang Yichen? The brown-haired boy in the lead looked menacing. I turned to run. You've got the wrong person. The brown-haired guy grabbed me tightly with both hands. Dahi, grab him. In the struggle, my phone fell. The brown-haired boy snatched it up first. On the screen was the latest message. I'm waiting for you by the seal wall. Sender, Su Muxue. The boy held up the phone and shouted angrily. And you still dare say you're not Jiang Yichen? Even dared to seduce Sister Su? I quickly tried to explain. It's a misunderstanding. We're just ordinary friends. The video was totally taken out of context. The brown-haired boy suddenly grabbed my collar. Cut the crap. We're here for the school beauty. I was completely confused. The school beauty? I have nothing to do with her. He gripped even tighter. You think she would chase a guy like you? Keep dreaming. Just then, my phone rang. They looked at the caller ID. Everyone froze. The school beauty is really the school beauty. No way. Ku trembled as he answered, and a familiar angry voice blasted out from the speaker. The two who were holding on to me froze instantly. It was Senior Gu's voice. Someone already had an infatuated expression. I stared in disbelief at their love-struck faces. Seriously, Gu Qinghan is good-looking. But just hearing her voice made them like this? Suddenly a thought struck me. While they were distracted and loosened their grip, I snatched my phone back from Ku. Without looking back, I dashed down the stairs. By the time they realized it, I had already gone down several floors. Ku stomped his feet behind me, Jiang Yichin. Just wait and see, unless you drop out. You're done for. I ran all the way to the senior classroom building, panting hard while leaning on the wall. My phone rang again. The caller ID showed Gu Qinghan. Hello. I answered weakly. Gu Qinghan's voice was cold. What just happened? You dared to hang up on me. You've got guts now? I said while panting. I'm in the classroom. Lying like that, I felt so wronged. It's all your fault. I was cornered by a few guys. I almost got beaten up. I told her everything that happened. That guy might be the president of your fan club. Gu Qinghan impatiently interrupted. What does that have to do with me? They did that on their own. She ordered. Cut the crap. Be in front of me in 5 minutes. If you're late, you know what'll happen. I was just about to explain, but Gu Qinghan had already hung up on me. What the hell, so bossy? I grumbled softly at my phone. Then I rushed toward Gu Qinghan's classroom building. Just as I reached the stairway, someone suddenly grabbed my arm. I nearly jumped in fright. What are you doing? A deep voice rang out next to my ear. I turned and met Gu Qinghan's smoldering gaze. I clutched my chest, gasping for breath. You scared me to death. She coldly glanced in the direction I came from. That must be the senior building, huh? I said 5 minutes. It's been 15 already. Gu Qinghan crossed her arms and stared at me. So what should I do with you? My eyes darted around, searching for an excuse. She sneered. Go on, make one up. Let's see if I believe you. We grew up together. She knows I touch my ear when I lie. I mumbled softly. I wasn't going to lie. Then tell me clearly, where did you go? Did you go see Su Muxue? Gu Qinghan's voice suddenly turned cold. Just thinking that I chose to see Su Muxue first made her furious. I saw the anger blaze in her eyes. I instinctively denied it, then instantly regretted it. The consequences of being caught in a lie. I swallowed nervously. Gu Qinghan suddenly stepped closer. I was struggling whether to confess. When she suddenly said coldly, "You were sneaking food," I froze. For a second, I didn't get it. Even if I did go see Su Muxue, that's not considered cheating, right? Gu Qinghan suddenly wiped the corner of my mouth. She showed the cream on her finger. You secretly ate cake. She leaned in and licked off the cream. Strawberry flavor again. Aren't you a bit too old to be eating kids' cake? How childish. I stammered. You're the childish one. Gu Qinghan leaned in closer. You're blushing. I'm mad at you. I turned to leave. She grabbed my wrist. All right, I was wrong. I called you here to confirm something. Her expression suddenly turned serious. Who just said they wanted to hurt you? What's their name? That guy who said he's your fan club president. His name is Ku. You don't know him. Gu Qinghan frowned and shook her head. Doesn't ring a bell. Forget it. I'm fine anyway. Gu Qinghan suddenly said, how about I announce publicly that you're my boyfriend? That way no one would dare bully you. I blurted out, don't you dare. Gu Qinghan's face instantly turned cold. I quickly forced a smile. I'm doing this for your sake. Gu Qinghan gave me a frosty look. She knew deep down. The way I rejected her so firmly, it was probably because of Su Muxue. After all, I liked her. I had to stay single. Gu Qinghan asked again, are you sure you don't want that? I nodded. Gu Qinghan gritted her teeth. Fine. Don't regret it. Remember what you said. She turned around and left after speaking. I froze for 2 seconds before reacting. Hey, you're mad. I chased after her, but she was already gone. So weird. I scratched my head for a while, but still didn't figure out what upset her. Forget it. I'll coax her after school. Turns out Su Muxue was right. I got lost on campus. Shandi Academy was ridiculously big, just as I was about to call Su Muxue. Suddenly, I saw a few guys sneaking around, heading this way. They were looking around suspiciously, as if searching for someone. I quickened my pace toward them. I overheard them saying, "Where did he go? This school's huge. Do we have to turn the place upside down? He must be hiding. When we find him, he's done for." I froze in place. The three boys were now walking right toward me. I spoke first. Can you tell me how to get to the gym? They suddenly locked eyes on me. You look a lot like Jiang Yichen. My heart skipped a beat. I scratched my head and played dumb. Who's Jiang Yichen? You must be mistaking me for someone else. As soon as I finished, I turned to run. One of the guys stopped me. Wait, you're the new transfer student, right? Another suddenly shouted, Jiang Yichen is the new transfer. That's not me. I turned and ran. The three guys immediately gave chase. Suddenly someone rushed in from the side, trying to grab me from behind. But he pushed hard and knocked me to the ground. My palms burned with pain. But I had no time to care. If they caught me, I was done for. Gu Qinghan, help. I ran with all my strength. The grade 11 building was right ahead. Gu Qinghan, help me. My eyes lit up. Somehow I had circled back here by mistake. Now I had a chance. Ku led the group in pursuit. Get him. But there was still some distance to the building. I was soon surrounded. There were too many of them. They pinned me straight to the ground. Ku kicked me as he came over. Run now, huh? Didn't you run so well earlier? The other guys sneered and formed a circle. Ku ordered, take him away. I clung to the ground, struggling desperately. I kicked one of them, making him furious. He kicked me hard in the back. They dared to act this wildly because they looked into me. Just a poor student who got into class S on grades. Even if something happened, no one would care. Your guy better hurry. Ku sneered. Strip him. Don't you get it? Several guys started trying to tear off my clothes. Another kick landed on my stomach. I curled up in pain. Completely miserable. Gu Qinghan, you bastard. If you don't come now, I'm dead. Stop. A girl rushed over and shoved the guy away fiercely. Shielding me behind her, Gu Qinghan, Ku froze in shock. Everyone stared at the suddenly appearing Gu Qinghan. She stood in front of me, her face full of worry. Are you okay? I struggled to open my eyes. Gu Qinghan's voice was trembling. Where are you hurt? I shook my head and stood up. I just got kicked a few times, it's fine. Gu Qinghan's face instantly darkened when his gaze swept over the group of guys. Who touched him? All the boys took a step back together. Who kicked him just now? She pressed coldly. The boys turned pale as sheets. Their legs began to tremble. We didn't mean to. Suddenly, Ku lunged at me like a madman. Gu Qinghan immediately grabbed his wrist. Wanna die, huh? I'll let go. Ku winced in pain, eyes tearing up. I tried to stop her, but just raising my hand made me wince. Gu Qinghan suddenly let go of Ku and grabbed my hand. How did you get this hurt? She stared at my bleeding palm. Her sharp gaze swept toward Ku and the others. A cold aura radiated from her. You did this. She turned around, fuming. And you call this nothing? There's blood everywhere. Come on, to the infirmary. She frowned and tugged me along. We had just taken a few steps when I gasped from the pain. Though it wasn't serious, the soreness from being ganged up on made it hard to move. Gu Qinghan supported me immediately. Still acting tough, she turned and coldly said to Wai, watch them. Don't let a single one escape. Just as we were about to leave, she suddenly stopped. She shot a cold glare at Ku. Didn't you want to know what we are? She raised her voice. He's my husband, she declared like a queen. Got that? Zhao Yishi was not far away. Gu Qinghan laid me down on the infirmary bed. The doctor quickly bandaged my wounds. Gu Qinghan stood up and told me, wait here, I'll be back soon. Don't wander off, she said. I nodded in agreement. Only then did she leave, feeling reassured. Back at the scene, Waiu had already surrounded the group of boys with her men. Seeing Gu Qinghan return, Waiu immediately reported, just as you ordered, none escape. Gu Qinghan nodded in satisfaction and walked up to the group of boys. Her voice was as cold as ice. Who kicked him? Step out yourself. The two boys who had kicked me immediately went weak in the knees and crawled forward, begging. It was us. We really didn't know he was your person. Gu Qinghan sneered coldly. So this is my fault now. The two frantically shook their heads. It's our fault. Gu Qinghan gave Wei a look. Wei sighed bitterly inside. The boss didn't want to get his hands dirty, but had him play the heavy. He ordered his men to drag the two boys into a corner. Gu Qinghan's cold gaze turned to Keiyu. Keiyu lowered his head and said nothing. Gu Qinghan suddenly shouted, "All of you, kneel down. Kneel all the way to the infirmary and apologize to Jiang Yichen." Everyone was shocked. One of the boys knelt down first. The others quickly followed and knelt. Only Keiyu still stubbornly stood. He felt secretly pleased, thinking his family's corporation had a partnership with the Jiu family. Gu Qinghan would probably give him some face. Just then, Gu Qinghan walked up to him. She showed a cruel smile. What? Trying to act tough? You think when your company collapses, you can still act so tough? Guess how long it would take me to bring your company down? Keiyu froze on the spot. He knew too well the power of the Jiu family. For Gu Qinghan to crush a company was as easy as flipping her hand. Keiyu knelt down immediately. Gu Qinghan turned and walked toward the infirmary without looking back. Behind him, a dozen boys followed on their knees in perfect unison. Inside the infirmary, the doctor was applying medicine to me. Suddenly, shouts rang out from outside. Jiang Yichen. We're sorry, please forgive us. I was puzzled. Gu Qinghan pushed the door open and came in. Are you seriously hurt? The doctor quickly replied, just some surface wounds. Gu Qinghan reached out to help me up. Come, let me show you something. From the balcony, I saw a row of people kneeling downstairs. Keiyu was in front, kowtowing. The scene was so exaggerated it left me stunned. Gu Qinghan smiled and said, let them kneel. They'll get up when you're no longer angry. I really couldn't bear to watch. I stepped forward and shouted, enough. I forgive you all. But they kept kowtowing. Only when Gu Qinghan nodded did they dare stop. Gu Qinghan pulled me back inside. If you don't want to watch, then don't. The sports car drove into the underground garage. Gu Qinghan turned her head and saw that I had already fallen asleep. What a pig sleeping the moment you lie down. On the sofa, Gu Qinghan stared blankly at my sleeping face. Her gaze unconsciously landed on my lips. Gu Qinghan reached out, wanting to touch me. Just then, I suddenly moved. Gu Qinghan hurriedly backed away. She bumped into the coffee table and almost fell. But I just turned over, mumbled something, and fell back asleep. The room was eerily quiet. She stared at me for a long while, making sure I wasn't awake. She leaned in again, trying to pinch my cheek. Suddenly, my phone rang from my pocket. The ringtone made me frown in my sleep. Gu Qinghan reached into my pocket and pulled out the phone. The moment she saw the screen, her eyes turned cold. Su Muxue. She actually had Su Muxue's number saved. She quickly hung up the call, blocked the number, and deleted it in one go. Then she tossed the phone onto the coffee table. She crouched down and pinched my nose. In my sleep, I frowned. Uncomfortable, I turned over. Finally, I gradually opened my eyes. What are you doing? Gu Qinghan pretended to admire the view. I asked, why are you sitting on the floor, meditating? I looked at her doubtfully. That excuse was just too absurd. She suddenly stood up and said, none of your business. She flipped her long hair. If you're sleepy, go to bed. She finished and slammed the study door shut. I rubbed my eyes. Still drowsy, I stared at her back. What's with her acting so weird? I licked my dry lips. Just as I was about to get off the sofa for water, the study door suddenly opened. Gu Qinghan walked out expressionless. Let me borrow your phone. Before I could react, she grabbed the phone out of my hand, turned around and went back into the study. Gu Qinghan closed the door, immediately deleted Su Muxue's call record. After that, she came out with the phone in her pocket, just in time to see me drinking water. I was hungry. There's only biscuits at home. There's nothing else to eat. I gave her a resentful look. Gu Qinghan frowned slightly. Even if you're hungry, you still have to wait. I couldn't trick her into giving me food. Fine, I'll order delivery for you, okay? I deliberately made things difficult. Can't you even cook some noodles? Noodles, Gu Qinghan sneered. I've never even boiled water before. If you want to eat something I cook, unless you don't mind dying. I snatched back my phone, then hurry up and order food. I want pizza, pasta, and chicken wings. Tell them to hurry. I'm starving. I drank too much water and now I need to pee. I grabbed the phone and walked into the bathroom. Just as I sat down, my phone suddenly rang. I awkwardly looked at the caller ID. It was an unfamiliar number. I thought it was a wrong number, but I answered it anyway. A soft voice came through. Hello? Yichin, it's me. Su Muxue. I almost choked on my own saliva. Why is it you? She asked what I was doing. Nothing much. Why are you calling me? Su Muxue paused. I called you earlier. But after you hung up, I couldn't get through. Like I was blocked, but I don't think you'd do that. I was shocked. You called earlier? When was this? 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago I was still asleep. I suddenly realized there was only one person next to me at the time. It had to be her. She saw Su Muxue's name and hung up the call, then blocked the number. No wonder she randomly took my phone just now. So it was to destroy the evidence. Su Muxue, I'm sorry. My friend was playing a prank. Su Muxue gently said, It's okay. I knew it wasn't you. I heard you were beaten up. Are you badly hurt? So the reason she was in a hurry to find me was because she was worried. My heart felt warm. It's not serious. I was on my way to the basketball court to find you, but I got stopped halfway and beaten up. Su Muxue's voice turned heavy. I heard about it. I'm sorry. If I hadn't asked you to meet, I forced a smile. How could it be your fault? If anyone's to blame, it's Gu Qinghan. It's all because of her that those crazy suitors showed up. Su Muxue asked softly, Are you really okay? I want to know the truth. I smiled to reassure her. Really, I'm fine. See, I can still talk and laugh. Su Muxue let out a sigh of relief. That's good then. Suddenly her tone turned serious. I want to ask you something. Is Gu Qinghan your girlfriend? I was stunned. I didn't expect that question. She must have heard. What happened today when Gu Qinghan called me husband in public? That must have spread around school by now. I didn't know how to answer. Su Muxue gently said, It's okay if you don't want to say. I scratched my head, not knowing how to explain. Then Su Muxue rephrased it. Like her? Like romantically? I froze completely. Of course not. We're not in that kind of relationship. We grew up together. It's more like family, but I've never thought of her that way. Su Muxue's voice suddenly dropped. Yichin, where are you now? At home. Why? Can we meet up? I thought for a moment. After I eat, I'll be free. Su Muxue smiled. Then I'll see you at noon. I didn't even get to agree when there was a loud banging on the door. Yichin, what are you doing in there for so long? Gu Qinghan's teasing voice came from outside the door. My heart tightened, afraid she'd find out I was talking to Su Muxue. I quickly lowered my voice. Let's talk later, and hung up in a hurry. When I opened the door, Gu Qinghan had a mischievous grin. I thought you fell into the toilet. I snapped back. You're the one who fell in. Hurry up and get out. I need to use the bathroom. She was holding her stomach. She really looked like it was urgent. As soon as she went into the bathroom, I quickly slipped into the living room. After making sure the door was closed, I secretly pulled out my phone, quickly removed Su Muxue from the blacklist, then sent her a message explaining. Soon she replied, Can we meet at noon? I know it's inconvenient for you to come to school. Let's meet somewhere else. I stared at the screen, hesitating. The delivery hadn't arrived yet. I'd have to find an excuse to sneak out afterward. Not getting caught by Gu Qinghan would be hard. I thought for a moment and replied, How about after school? I got a reply almost instantly. Just as I put the phone down, Gu Qinghan came out of the bathroom. The delivery arrived shortly after. Gu Qinghan ordered a lot of my favorite food. As a foodie, I immediately dug in happily. Qinghan, I'm not going to class this afternoon. Help me call in sick. Say I'm seriously injured and need to rest. Perfect excuse to skip a few days of class. Gu Qinghan leaned back on the sofa. Then I won't go either. I'll stay home with you. I suddenly got nervous. No need to keep me company. Just go to class. Gu Qinghan squinted suspiciously. In such a hurry to get rid of me. What are you planning behind my back? I stammered to deny it. No. I just don't want you to miss class because of me. Afraid she'd keep asking questions, I quickly walked toward the study. Let me borrow your computer to play a game. Gu Qinghan suddenly jumped up to block me. The study is off limits. So I had to turn and go to the bedroom instead. I slammed the door shut and threw myself onto the bed. I fell asleep quickly. When I woke up, it was already past 3 p.m. I glanced toward the quiet study. I wondered if Gu Qinghan had fallen asleep inside. I tiptoed to the entryway. Like a thief, I quietly put on my shoes, gently closed the door, successfully snuck out. I quickly messaged Su Muxue. I'm on my way out. I ran out of the neighborhood, stopped a taxi. Driver, to Shandi Academy, please. I had no idea the study door had just opened. Gu Qinghan walked out after me. The cafe was filled with the aroma of coffee. I had just pushed the door open when I saw Su Muxue waving at me. I smiled and sat down. Have you been waiting long? Su Muxue slid the menu toward me. Want something to drink? I opened the menu, and my eyes widened. One drink cost over 100. I knew Su Muxue's family wasn't well off. I frowned and shook my head. Too expensive. I'll pass. Just then, the server brought 2 slices of strawberry cake. Enjoy. My eyes lit up at the cake. But when I opened the price list, I nearly shouted. 1 slice was over 100. People around us started looking. Su Muxue awkwardly cleared her throat. I quickly set the menu down. Grabbed the free lemon water. Water is fine for me. Seeing that, Su Muxue didn't try to persuade me. All I could think about was hurrying back. If Gu Qinghan found out I sneaked out, I'd be doomed. I anxiously asked Su Muxue. What exactly did you want to see me for? Su Muxue looked at me seriously. I heard you were ganged up on by a bunch of guys. Your hand was hurt, and you bled a lot. Some even exaggerated, saying your organs were injured and you spat blood. I was stunned. That's it. I thought it was something serious. Just then, a loud shout came from the side, Jiang Yichin. I flinched all over. My first thought was, I'm screwed. Gu Qinghan had caught me red-handed, and right while I was meeting with Su Muxue. Trembling, I turned around. But before I could see clearly, someone put me in a headlock. It really is you. I thought I was seeing things. A familiar voice rang out beside my ear. Only then did I see who it was. Han Jingnian. What are you doing here? He let go of me, hands on his hips, glaring. That's what I should be asking you? When did you come back to China? Why didn't you tell me? I briefly explained. I transferred to Shandi. Not going back for now. Han Jingnian grabbed my shoulders. Really? You're not lying to me, right? You really transferred to Shandi? I nodded with a smile. Of course it's true. That's awesome. Han Jingnian jumped with excitement. Now we can see each other every day. Suddenly I remembered something. Wait, where have you been these past few days? I've been at school for days, and haven't seen you at all. Han Jingnian scratched his head awkwardly. My mom went to France for a fashion exhibit. I went along with her for fun. So jealous of you. Han Jingnian suddenly lowered his voice. Does Gu Qinghan know you're back? At the mention of Gu Qinghan, I instinctively glanced at Su Muxue sitting across from me. Only then did Han Jingnian notice Su Muxue. Su Muxue, why are you with Yichin? His expression suddenly turned strange. I quickly pushed him. You should go. I'll explain later. All right. Han Jingnian stood up reluctantly. Pick up my call later, okay? After he walked away, I let out a sigh of relief. Sorry about that. Su Muxue gently shook her head. It's okay. Then she suddenly asked, last time, in front of the principal, you said you were upset because you had a fight with Gu Qinghan, right? About the security guard's reinstatement. I looked at her in surprise. How did you know? Su Muxue didn't answer. Just smiled slightly. One last question. I nervously swallowed. What question? Su Muxue stared into my eyes. You two aren't dating again, right? She just stood up for you, that's all, isn't it? I quickly nodded. Yeah, that's all it was. As for the fact that Gu Qinghan and I were already married, I didn't think there was any need to say it. That marriage would end sooner or later anyway. The fewer people who knew, the better. Su Muxue suddenly smiled and said, I'm done asking. Relax. I won't stop being your friend because of this. I let out a sigh of relief. Glanced at the time. I have to go. I've been out too long. Gu Qinghan might find out. Su Muxue rushed to pay the bill. You can treat me to a movie next time. There's a new American blockbuster this weekend. Sure. I agreed immediately. See you Saturday, I said, then rushed out in a panic. I didn't notice the meaningful smile on Su Muxue's face behind me. Back at the apartment, I quietly opened the door. Just bent down to change my shoes when I heard Gu Qinghan's cold voice. Where did you go? I froze on the spot. When did you realize I was gone? Gu Qinghan stared at me like I was her prey. Half an hour ago. I quickly raised the bag in my hand. I just suddenly wanted some afternoon tea. But Gu Qinghan wasn't so easy to fool. What you bought takes 30 minutes. She stared at the store name on the plastic bag. I really did buy it on my way back. I stammered when I passed by that shop. I was tempted by the smell, so I bought something on impulse. Then I ran into a Samoyed puppy. Played with it for a bit. Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes. No one in this complex owns a Samoyed. How old was it? What's its name? Was the owner male or female? A chill ran down my back. I suddenly straightened my face. If you don't believe me, then forget it. I turned around and tried to take the snacks back. She grabbed my wrist. You shouldn't be running around when you're still hurt. Gu Qinghan's tone softened. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Nervous, I snuck a glance. Gu Qinghan turned toward me. Her deep, unreadable gaze looked like it could see right through me. Caller ID. Han Jingnian. I breathed a sigh of relief and showed her the screen. Gu Qinghan asked, "What does he want with you?" I pretended to grab some water and quickly walked away, afraid the call would expose that we'd met. Han Jingnian fired questions rapidly. Yichen. What's your relationship with Su Muxue? When did you two meet? Why were you at a cafe together? Do you like her too? I pulled the phone away from my ear, waited a few seconds before putting it back. Can you speak more quietly? You're making me deaf. Han Jingnian sounded like he was about to cry. You're just deaf. My heart is breaking. I've liked her for so long. How could you steal her from me? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Now I was sure he really does like Su Muxue. I didn't steal her. I slipped into the bedroom and closed the door, lowering my voice. Today's meeting must stay secret. Especially don't let Gu Qinghan know. Han Jingnian didn't understand. Why? I'll explain next time. Just remember what I said. From the school gate to the academic building. Everyone was pointing and whispering about me as I passed the bulletin board. Chu Meng Yao came rushing up. Yichen, hurry. Looks like something big happened. The crowd parted to make a path when they saw me. Confused, I walked toward the bulletin board. In the photo, Su Muxue and I were smiling and chatting in the cafe. The image had been deliberately edited to look very intimate. I clenched my fist. Who did this? Chu Meng Yao handed me her phone. It was all over the forums and class group chats with nasty comments. Didn't take much to guess. Chu Meng Yao whispered, it was Ku. After getting expelled, he must have held a grudge. I felt a chill on my scalp. But the one I was most worried about wasn't Ku, it was Yichen. What's wrong? Gu Qinghan's cold voice came from behind me. My whole body froze. I didn't dare turn around. Gu Qinghan. Someone gloated and shouted, you've been cheated on. Jiang Yichen and Su Muxue are having an affair. Gu Qinghan's brows furrowed tightly. Her gaze swept over the bulletin board. Her expression instantly turned icy. Her eyes locked on the photo's date. Her pupils contracted sharply. You lied to me. Her voice was like shattered ice. I panicked. Let me explain. But the evidence was clear. There was no way to argue back. Gu Qinghan stormed forward. She ripped the photo from the board and tore it into pieces, throwing them at me. Go ahead, what lie are you going to use this time? Why so quiet? She suddenly kicked over a nearby trash can. If you won't explain, then just shut up forever. With that, she turned and left. I hurriedly tried to catch up to her, but Chu Meng Yao pulled me back. Don't go. She's furious right now. Going after her will only make it worse. Talk to her after school. The bell rang. My mind was a complete mess. I had no choice but to return to class. During pay class, I sat on the bleachers spacing out, debating whether or not to talk to Gu Qinghan. Suddenly, a volleyball hit me in the head. A guy half-heartedly apologized. Oops, sorry. He picked up the ball and walked off. Just as I rubbed my head, another ball slammed into me. This one hit even harder. Chu Meng Yao rushed over, pointed at the guy, and shouted, you totally did that on purpose? I shut my eyes, face pale, clearly dazed from the hit. Chu Meng Yao glanced at the volleyball, then glared at the group of boys. Several of them came over, pretending to apologize. Sorry, okay. He's the one who sat there like a log. Didn't even try to dodge. Chu Mengyao let out a cold laugh. She grabbed the volleyball and threw it at the boy. It hit him square on the forehead. The boy fell to the ground from the impact. People around started to scold. Jiang Yichin, why are you hitting people? Don't think Gu Qinghan will protect you anymore. Now that she knows your true colors, you've been abandoned. Chu Mengyao pulled me aside. She noticed my face was getting worse. Are you okay? Are you feeling sick? I'll take you to the infirmary. I forced myself to shake my head. I'm fine. Don't worry. Just then, the girl handed over her phone. I recorded the whole thing. They did it on purpose. Chu Mengyao took the phone. We watched a video that lasted over 10 minutes. It clearly showed the moments when I got hit. Chu Mengyao burned with anger. Apologize. The group of boys looked at each other. One of them, scared, was about to bow and say sorry, but another boy stopped her. Why apologize? So, what if we hit him? Without Gu Qinghan backing him, what are we afraid of? Though Chu Mengyao came from a good family, in Class S, everyone was rich. That provoking boy came from a background equal to hers. He wasn't afraid of her at all. My head was spinning badly. I didn't want to argue. I waved it off. Chu Mengyao scanned the crowd. Yichin, you look awful. I'll take you to the nurse. This time I didn't refuse. The sunlight made my vision go black. I subconsciously leaned on her. Chu Mengyao quickly supported my shoulder as wind rushed in through my clothes. The familiar sight of the sickbed reminded me of when Gu Qinghan stood up for me. Suddenly, I missed her terribly. Was she still mad? Han Jingnian's voice suddenly came in. Yichin, you look terrible. Where do you feel bad? I gave a bitter smile. Got hit in the head with a ball. A bit dizzy. Han Jingnian said with concern, you're really unlucky. I was too tired to explain. Let me rest for a bit. A few minutes later, the doctor asked Chu Mengyao to give me some glucose to drink. Skip class this morning. I'll write you a note. Be more careful next time. I nodded and thanked her. Suddenly my stomach growled. Chu Mengyao laughed. I'll get you something to eat. About 10 minutes later, Chu Mengyao returned to the infirmary with a plastic bag. When I opened my eyes, she was setting the food neatly at my bedside. I got you a sandwich and some yogurt. If you don't like it, I can go get something else. I suddenly sat up straight. Han Jingnian jumped over from the next bed, snatched the sandwich, and stuffed it into his mouth. I pounced to grab it back. Give it back. Patients get priority, don't you know? Chu Mengyao stared blankly at our bickering. Her gaze lingered on Han Jingnian for a few seconds. The young master of the Han family is this close to me. She finally couldn't resist, and asked, are you two good friends? Han Jingnian slung his arm around my neck. We've known each other since we were split pants, but Gu Qinghan is even closer to him. They were childhood friends since birth. Chu Mengyao's pupils suddenly shrank. She almost dropped the yogurt in her hand. Her expression turned slightly unnatural. So that's how it is. No wonder Gu Qinghan treats me so specially. Thinking back on what she'd told the girls earlier, now it all seemed to be true. She suddenly looked forward to the boys' reaction when they found out about me and Gu Qinghan. Their expressions would surely be priceless. Originally, Chu Mengyao wanted to stay with me, but with Han Jingnian there, she returned to class first. I'll come check on you after school. She looked visibly disappointed as she left. Han Jingnian looked gossipy. You saw that. She looked heartbroken after hearing about you and Gu Qinghan, like she just got dumped. I rolled my eyes at him. Don't talk nonsense. We're just friends. In the office, Gu Qinghan leaned lazily on the sofa. She stared at her phone, smiling from time to time. Han Jingnian quietly pushed open the door. Miss Gu and Yichin had a fight. Gu Qinghan looked up. Who told you to just come in? Don't be like that. I'm here to mediate. Han Jingnian leaned closer to peek at her phone. Gu Qinghan quickly moved the screen away. It's about that photo of him and Su Muxue. I was there that day too. Nothing happened at all. Han Jingnian only realized after speaking that it should have been a secret. He smacked his mouth in frustration. Yichin personally said he only sees Su Muxue as a friend. He even encouraged me to chase her. Hearing that, Gu Qinghan's expression noticeably softened. Really? Han Jingnian nodded vigorously. Of course, after hearing that, Gu Qinghan's mood improved quite a bit. Then why did he secretly meet Su Muxue and lie to me saying he didn't? Han Jingnian shrugged. They were probably just chatting. I don't really know what was said. Gu Qinghan's mood clearly brightened. She muttered under her breath. I really don't get Yichin. Why would he lie to me? Han Jingnian raised an eyebrow. Can you blame him? You have a grudge with Su Muxue. With your temper, would he dare tell you? Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes. Han Jingnian instantly got it. Go check on him in the infirmary. Is he okay? Forget it. Han Jingnian turned to leave after speaking. Gu Qinghan frowned. He's in the infirmary. And you want to take him there to skip class? Han Jingnian pointed at her phone. No. Didn't you see the video? Only then did Gu Qinghan notice the video. He got hit by a ball. Almost got a concussion. He's still resting now. Gu Qinghan's face suddenly changed. Before Han Jingnian could finish, she rushed out. The infirmary was empty. Gu Qinghan frowned. She suspected she'd been fooled. Just then, she ran into the doctor. She grabbed him. Did Jian Yichin rest here? Didn't you say he was here resting? The doctor recognized her and quickly replied, Oh, the boy who got hit by the ball. Gu Qinghan's heart tightened. So it was true. How could that idiot get hit by a ball? Gu Qinghan pressed. Was he seriously hurt? Where did he go? The doctor stood nervously in front of her. He had long heard about this young lady's temper. In Shandi Academy, her word was law. He was terrified of saying the wrong thing. That student is fine. Just a minor scrape. He just needs rest, the doctor answered cautiously. Gu Qinghan impatiently interrupted. Where is he? Can't you just say it all at once? The doctor wiped his sweat. He just left not long ago. His girlfriend came to pick him up. Girlfriend, Gu Qinghan's brows furrowed. The air around her instantly dropped in pressure. The doctor instinctively took half a step back. Suddenly she remembered. On the first day of transfer, she saw him in the cafeteria with a girl. Could it be that girl? As she turned to leave, Gu Qinghan suddenly stopped. Listen carefully. He's mine. After walking out of the infirmary, she remembered to call me. As soon as it connected, she heard my cheerful voice, Qinghan. You're not mad anymore. She snorted softly. You're such an idiot. I pouted. Why are you scolding me? I can explain. Gu Qinghan kept walking. Save it. Where are you right now? She looked up and instantly saw me not far away. Stop right there, she shouted and ran toward me. I froze. Qinghan, why didn't you finish your sentence? Gu Qinghan had already arrived. She looked at Chu Mingyao, who was holding my arm. Want me to chop off your hand? Let go. Chu Mingyao's expression changed slightly. Reluctantly, she let go. Gu Qinghan yanked me to her side. Still running around when you're unwell. She looked in the direction I was originally heading. It was the grade 11 classroom building. She instantly understood. Jian Yichin, are you stupid? Then her eyes landed on Chu Mingyao. Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes. Smiling, she asked, is this your girlfriend? I quickly shook my head. The doctor misunderstood. She just sits in front of me. She usually looks out for me. Gu Qinghan caught the look in Chu Mingyao's eyes, the one that dimmed instantly. Her lips curled smugly. Good. Lucky for her, huh? Now go back and rest. I turned to Chu Mingyao and apologized. You should return to class. Chu Mingyao forced a smile. Yichin, no need to be polite. Then she said to Gu Qinghan, please take good care of him. Gu Qinghan immediately flared up. Our business isn't yours to manage. Who do you think you are? Leaving without saying goodbye. She dragged me away. Chu Mingyao stood in place. Her eyes dimmed. Unexpectedly, Gu Qinghan didn't take me to the infirmary, but instead to a European-style building. She briefly explained, this is the student council building. She helped me to the second floor and pushed open a room door. In a daze, I saw a sign on the door. It said student council president. I froze for a moment. Gu Qinghan pushed the door open and entered. Inside, Han Jingnian was still there. She immediately frowned. Why are you still here? Han Jingnian was lounging on the sofa, eating chips and drinking soda. Yo, you two made up. Gu Qinghan set me down and immediately started kicking him out. Go. My office isn't your personal lounge. Han Jingnian grumbled. You'd just made up and you're already kicking me out. But he obediently stood up. He slowly walked out. When he got to the door, he suddenly stopped. He turned around and saw Gu Qinghan still holding my hand. With a teasing smile, he said, you always want to be alone. School bell. Gu. What are you planning to do with our Yichin? Unexpectedly, Gu Qinghan suddenly hugged me and kissed me on the cheek. She gave Han Jingnian a provocative look. Do you know what our relationship is now? Han Jingnian looked curious. What relationship? Gu Qinghan proudly said, we're engaged. He's my fiancé now. So, we can do whatever we want behind closed doors. Han Jingnian's eyes widened. What? You two are engaged? When did that happen? I awkwardly explained, just after I returned to the country. Before I could finish, Gu Qinghan pinched my waist. Can you leave now? Gu Qinghan said to Han Jingnian, don't interrupt us. Han Jingnian quickly accepted the truth. After all, we grew up together. It's only natural for childhood sweethearts to end up together. All right then, I won't be the third wheel. Han Jingnian sensibly left. Gu Qinghan helped me sit on the sofa. I leaned back comfortably, glanced at her. This is the student council president's office. So, you're the president? Gu Qinghan raised an eyebrow. Any objections? I'm not talking anymore. Closed my eyes to rest. I fell asleep in just a few seconds. Gu Qinghan saw me fall asleep so fast and gave a helpless smile. Afraid I'd catch a cold, she found a small blanket and covered me. She stared at my face. There was a red mark on my forehead from the ball hit. Suddenly, she remembered something. Squinted her eyes, recalling the video I sent her. Meanwhile, the servant just left the living room. Kezan curled his lips. What if that face got ruined? Would the school beauty Jiu still glance at him? Kyu squinted. You're saying we should ruin his face? Kezan lightly tapped the coffee table. Get a few people to break his hands and legs. He gestured like disposing of trash. Kyu suddenly felt a churn inside. He thought he was ruthless enough. But this illegitimate brother was even worse. I'm just thinking of you. Kezan softened his tone. Jiu the school beauty already dumped me anyway. He lowered his voice as long as Yichin disappears. His voice dropped. Then everything will be fine. Those words precisely hit Kyu's weak spot. Kyu slammed the table. Who said spare him? Yet he hesitated. But what if the school beauty finds out? Kezan waved his finger. What if she ends up feeling sorry for the guy? Do you want to see him keep winning? Kyu instantly pictured the scene. Jiang Yichin kneeling in the rain, crying helplessly, while the school beauty walked past, holding his arm. Kyu took out his checkbook. How much do you need? His gaze toward Kezan was full of contempt. As expected, this thug actually knows those gangster types. Kezan suddenly rubbed his hands together, right? Lend me to bodyguards. Kyu proudly lifted his chin. This is the flair of a true young master. They'll be at your service tomorrow. He dusted off some imaginary lint from his suit. Don't screw it up. Kezan smiled like a poisonous knife. Relax. In the shadows, his phone screen was glowing. At the top of the chat window was Jiu the school bell. Everything going as planned. I opened my eyes gradually. Found Gu Qinghan sitting at the desk. That's when I realized I was lying on the couch, covered by a blanket. Qinghan, what are you doing? She glanced at me and continued speaking to the computer. It looked like a video call. I tiptoed over. What are you watching? So focused. You're not flirting with some guy, are you? Gu Qinghan quickly covered my face and shut off the video. Jiang Yichin, do you have any manners? I pouted. Mysterious, who were you talking to? Secret, she smiled. When I found out she knew 6 languages, I was shocked. Gu Qinghan, I feel like I don't even know you anymore. You've only been in the US a few years, but you've changed so much. Gu Qinghan suddenly leaned in. Her beautiful face was just inches away. Want to know me better? Her voice was enchanting. I was caught off guard by her deep gaze. I don't know. Qinghan. I don't know. I was a bit flustered. Really don't know. I did want to know her better, but I was afraid of changing our current relationship. This relaxed and easy dynamic, I didn't want to lose it. Gu Qinghan crossed her arms. Didn't you say you wanted an explanation? I'm listening. I didn't mean to lie to you. I stammered. If I told you I was going to see Su Muxue, you'd definitely get mad. Gu Qinghan coldly said, you knew I'd be mad. So, why did you still go see her? I couldn't help but argue. Just because you'd get mad, I can't meet up with friends, because I'm your wife. She declared overbearingly. I raised my voice in anger. Gu Qinghan, I haven't even acknowledged you as my girlfriend. What right do you have to interfere? Besides, our engagement wasn't even voluntary. She sneered. Well, I don't have a boyfriend now. I snorted. That's only for now. You're such a flirt. You go through boyfriends one after another. Do you really expect me to stay loyal just to you? Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes. Why are you so determined to be friends with her? Dare to say you don't like her? I admitted honestly, yes, I do like her. But it's admiration, a respect for the strong, a friendship kind of like. Why do your words twist that meaning? Gu Qinghan's gaze changed sharply. What did you say? Seeing that she was truly angry, I quickly explained. I just admire her. I just wanted to make a friend. Jiang Yichen. She gritted her teeth. I really want to shut your mouth. I was stunned. She stared straight at my lips. Her look was dangerously serious, not joking. Stop it. I backed away in panic. I'm not joking. Her voice was low. I don't like you defending her. If you're disobedient, I'll punish you. I didn't even finish my sentence. She suddenly pulled me into a forceful kiss. The Gu Qinghan in front of me felt frighteningly unfamiliar. Her eyes no longer had any warmth, only a possessiveness that made my heart race. My voice trembled. Gu Qinghan, if you keep this up, I'm really going to get mad. Gu Qinghan righteously replied. I'm the one who's angry. Has she gone crazy? I felt like I was about to be driven insane by her. Why did she suddenly become like this? Kissing someone out of nowhere? In a panic, I shoved my hands hard against her chest. I shouted angrily. Gu Qinghan was truly angry this time. She stared into my eyes. Bastard! I yelled and suddenly kicked her in the shin. She groaned in pain and let go. I immediately ran off without looking back. Gu Qinghan froze in place and didn't chase after me. She cursed and kicked over the nearby chair. Still not satisfied, she swept everything off the table to the floor. Damn it, she growled through clenched teeth. Not sure who she was cursing. I rushed down to the first floor, almost bumping into Han Jinian, who had just come out of the lounge. Bai Chun. What's wrong? He quickly supported me. Seeing my pale face, he looked up. Weren't you two getting along upstairs? What did the school belle do to make you so mad again? I huffed angrily. Who said I made up with her? Han Jinian immediately understood. The two of us had another falling out. What did she do this time? He asked curiously. I blushed just thinking about what happened earlier. I cursed under my breath. She's just a jerk. Seeing me blush, Han Jinian got even more curious. Yeah, she's a jerk. What exactly were you two doing up there? Of course, I wouldn't say. I grabbed his arm. Jinian, I'm staying at your place tonight. I don't want to see her. That's fine. But Han Jinian's eyes widened in shock. Wait, you two are living together? I sighed and said, my dad and Aunt Yin insisted we live together. They even made us sleep in the same bed. I still don't understand why my dad suddenly wanted me to get engaged to Gu Qinghan. Han Jinian exclaimed, they made you to live together and share the same bed. He stammered and asked, did you two do it? I replied drowsily. Do what? Han Jinian awkwardly cleared his throat. You know that thing between a man and a woman. I suddenly realized what he meant. What nonsense are you talking about? Of course not. Then I suddenly remembered. That box of Duriks my mom bought was still in the room. If she found out. Han Jinian smirked and pointed at me. My face turned completely red. Even if you didn't go all the way, you must have done something, right? What nonsense. I dragged him out. School's over. Let's get something to eat. Han Jinian made a note. He had to get to the bottom of it tonight. After school, Gu Qinghan's sports car was parked outside. It attracted a crowd of onlookers, but no one got in the car even by dusk. Back at the apartment, Gu Qinghan shouted irritably, Jiang Yichen. The empty house had no response. She searched every room one by one. Frustrated, she called my number. Beeped. The call was rejected. She angrily threw herself onto the sofa. How dare he hang up on me? Gu Qinghan picked up her iPad and started playing games. As it got darker, her stomach began to growl. She glanced at the door. He's not coming back, is he? After hesitating a moment, she called Han Jinian's house line. The butler answered, Miss Gu. How can I help you? Han Jinian quickly replied, he's not coming back. He's living at my place now. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Yichen. Gu Qinghan gritted her teeth and asked, what do you mean he's not coming back? Let me speak to him. Han Jinian helplessly replied, he can't take your call. You called him earlier and got rejected, didn't you? He outright blocked you. I'm calling you in secret, you know. Weren't you two already back together? Why are you arguing again? Did you do something over the line? Gu Qinghan asked word by word. He blocked me. Even through the phone. You could feel his rage. Han Jinian replied simply, yeah. That's why I'm curious. What exactly did you do to make him so mad? Gu Qinghan pinched the bridge of her nose, thinking about what happened in the office today. She didn't know what came over him. It was like she was possessed, but it wasn't even that serious. She just wanted to kiss him. That's all. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Was it really that big a deal? She couldn't understand what guys were thinking. It's not like she lost a piece of flesh. So many people wanted to kiss her and didn't get the chance. Han Jinian saw she wasn't speaking, so he tried to smooth things over. Yichen's just angry right now. He'll be fine soon. Stay at my place tonight. We'll talk for a bit. But you need to find a way to win him back. Gu Qinghan snorted coldly. Why should I be the one to coax him? If he wants to come back, fine. Just thinking about being blocked made her furious. What made her even angrier was that Yichen rejected her kiss. They were engaged. What's the big deal about a kiss? Just thinking about how much he resisted made Gu Qinghan even more annoyed. Han Jinian felt a little helpless. Typical couple fight, both of them angry and refusing to back down. Neither side willing to admit fault. Fine, suit yourselves. I want to see who gives in first. I've said what I had to say. You handle it however you want. Bye. Han Jinian awkwardly hung up the phone. Gu Qinghan threw her phone onto the coffee table. She stared at the table full of food with a gloomy face. If you're not coming back to eat, I'll eat by myself. At the Han family villa, I had just finished showering. Wearing cotton pajamas, I sat on the edge of the bed. I picked up my phone and looked at the screen. It was completely blank. No messages, no calls. I hadn't even hit a low point yet, and Gu Qinghan still hadn't called. It was already past 10 p.m. Even if I blocked her, couldn't she at least be like Su Muxue and call from a different number? Fuming, I threw the phone back on the bed. But my eyes kept drifting back toward it. Just then, Han Jinian came in with a fruit plate. Yichen, come eat some fruit. After eating, I laid down. Suddenly, Han Jinian turned around and stared at me. What's really going on between you and Gu Qinghan? Come on, tell me. I didn't want to. I stared at the ceiling, my head full of thoughts about what Gu Qinghan might be doing now. Was she out partying somewhere, or lying alone on the bed, grinning to herself? Seeing I wouldn't answer, Han Jinian looked a little disappointed. Suddenly, I turned over and asked, "Oh right, you should know. What exactly happened between Gu Qinghan and Su Muxue?" Han Jinian nodded. Actually, it wasn't much. There was this guy who pissed off Gu Qinghan back then. She wanted the guy to drop out of school. Coincidentally, that guy was Su Muxue's neighbor. So Su Muxue stood up for her. You know how Gu Qinghan is short-tempered. No one dares go against her, but Su Muxue had excellent grades. So the school didn't want to expel her. In the end, only the guy dropped out. After finishing, Han Jinian pouted. Don't you think Gu Qinghan went too far? Kicking someone out just over a small issue? Such a petty guy. I frowned and shot back. Do you know what that guy did to offend her? Han Jinian shook his head. No idea. I didn't say anything. My eyes glanced toward the phone on the nightstand. Suddenly, a ding-dong notification sounded. I practically lunged for the phone and snatched it up. The sudden motion startled Han Jinian. He sat up and looked at me, seeing the uncontrollable smile on my face. That ambiguous smile. I get it, you're waiting. Waiting for a message from Gu Qinghan, right? You blocked her yourself. And now you're eagerly hoping she reach out. That's what they call saying no with your mouth, while your body says yes. Ha ha ha. I blushed and protested. What nonsense are you talking about? But my finger honestly tapped open the message, and my smile instantly froze. Han Jinian clearly saw my expression change from bright skies to storm clouds. He leaned in. What is it? Did Gu Qinghan say something awful again? I puffed up angrily and threw the phone aside. Gu Qinghan, that jerk. Han Jinian picked up the phone, only to discover the sender was actually Su Muxue. The message was about the photo incident. Han Jinian's expression changed subtly. He cautiously asked, Yichen, are you really that close to Su Muxue? I answered slowly, we're okay, I guess. Han Jinian suddenly laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. Now I believe you. You really don't like Su Muxue. He visibly sighed in relief. As a best bro, his biggest fear was that we'd fall for the same girl. I looked annoyed. I've said it so many times. Why does everyone assume I like her? I just admire her and want to be friends. Isn't that normal? Isn't that perfectly reasonable? Han Jinian nodded repeatedly. Totally normal. Then suddenly leaned in with a mischievous grin. Because the one you like is Gu Qinghan. I exploded instantly. What nonsense are you spouting? Han Jinian waved his phone. The proof's right here. When you saw the message wasn't from Gu Qinghan. You looked so heartbroken you almost cried. Han Jinian. I pounced and grabbed his neck. I swear I'll strangle you. Believe it. Han Jinian raised his hands in surrender. Okay. I'm wrong. I'll shut up, alright. Later that night, I had a ridiculous dream. In a haze, a slender figure leaned over me. A voice whispered my name. Jiang Yichin, you're being naughty. You need to be punished. Then came a soft sensation on my lips. I opened my eyes wide in shock. It was actually Gu Qinghan. Wait, I jolted awake. My face still carried a lingering blush. Han Jinian was awakened by the movement on the bed. He rubbed his eyes and asked grudgingly, Yichin, had a nightmare? I sat at the edge of the bed and shook my head. Not a nightmare. My face suddenly started burning. It was a spring dream. My fingers unconsciously touched my lips. That kiss in the dream had felt too real. Gu Qinghan's devilish face was so seductive when she kissed someone. My heart was pounding hard. My head was filled with the sound of thumping. Han Jinian suddenly leaned in. Why is your face so red? I quickly pushed him away. It's too hot. I hid in the bathroom for half an hour. Only came out once my face had cooled down. In the morning, the school gate was packed with people. A silver Lamborghini blocked the entire entrance. It's Gu Qinghan's car. Han Jinian pulled me forward through the crowd. Why is Baihao in her car? Did they get back together? But wasn't she recently involved with that Jiang Yichin guy from Gaoyi? The gossip came to an abrupt halt. A few girls suddenly noticed that I was standing right behind them. I stared at Gu Qinghan's profile through the car window. The dream from last night suddenly rushed back to me. Han Jinian couldn't hold it anymore. He glared coldly at the group of girls. Shut up. The girls finally realized I was right next to them. Terrified, they backed away. I tugged his sleeve. Forget it. Don't bother with them. Just then, Gu Qinghan came over with Baihao on her arm. The crowd immediately fell silent. The sight of an ex and a new flame meeting made everyone hold their breath. Gu Qinghan smiled charmingly, as if nothing had happened. She greeted me naturally. Morning. Baihao proudly lifted his chin. Good morning. Han Jinian was trembling with anger. How could you do this? Gu Qinghan looked innocent. Han Jinian grew even angrier. You were engaged to her. I held back the agitated Han Jinian. I forced a smile and said, Good morning. Even though I had just dreamed about her passionate kiss this morning, now I was watching her walk with someone else. It felt like a heavy stone was pressing on my heart. Her attitude hadn't even changed, still looking as smug as ever. But something just fell off. Gu Qinghan glanced at me deeply. The corner of her lips curled slightly. We'll head in first. After that, she walked into the school with Baihao on her arm. I stood in place, feeling an emptiness in my chest. Han Jinian looked at me with concern. Yichin, are you okay? She's definitely trying to upset you on purpose. I didn't want to answer. The mocking stares around us made me feel completely uncomfortable. I pulled Han Jinian through the school gate, but the weight in my chest hadn't lightened at all. This unfamiliar feeling left my heart in chaos. Could it be like Han Jinian said, that I was jealous? I shook my head sharply. Impossible. She can be with whoever she wants. Han Jinian saw me shaking my head, frowning, and muttering under my breath. He suddenly threw an arm around my shoulder. Yichin, don't bottle it up. If you want to curse out Gu Qinghan and that woman, count me in. I looked up and smiled at him. Why would I curse her? Han Jinian was stunned. She clearly did it to provoke you. I shrugged nonchalantly. I'm not jealous. What's there to be jealous of? Han Jinian was baffled. You were just miserable a second ago. Why the sudden change? I took a deep breath, letting go of all my emotions, and said lightly, I already told you, we're not actually engaged. She can be with whoever she wants. Han Jinian wanted to say something, but I had already walked quickly toward the first-year building. Class was about to start. See you later. I slipped away before he could respond. The moment I entered the classroom, all eyes turned toward me in unison. I pretended not to see. Went straight back to my seat. Chu Ming Yao looked at me with concern. Yichin? I raised a finger to my lips to signal her to be quiet. She silently handed me some strawberry milk. I had just taken the first sip when the classroom erupted. Why is Baihao here? I looked up and saw Baihao swaggering in with his entourage. Starting today, I'm transferring to Class S. After that, He walked straight toward me. Everyone in class instantly got excited. The X and the current about to clash. Bahao sat down across the aisle from me. Boasting smugly, Gu Xiaohua treats me really well. She casually mentioned it and helped me transfer immediately. I sneered. Then you better be careful. If she can get you in, she can also kick you out, right? Bahao's face stiffened at my words. I was just stating facts. But it made him look like a clown. Someone who could be kicked out at any time. Everyone knows. Gu Xiaohua never goes back to X's. Once it's over for good. But this time, he made an exception, and that made Bahao feel smug and special. He thought he was someone important. He had wanted to transfer to Class S before, but Gu Xiaohua hadn't helped him. This time, maybe as compensation, she helped fulfill his wish. Thinking of this, Bahao suppressed his anger and arrogantly raised his chin, saying, Jiang Yichin, do you still think you're Gu Xiaohua's boyfriend? I'm the current one now. You better watch yourself, or I'll have you kicked out with just one word. Got it? Before I could react, Chu Mingyao slammed the desk and stood up. You think you're qualified to kick Yichin out? Bahao was stunned. He didn't expect someone to stand up for me. Judging by Chu Mingyao's attire and aura, it was clear she was from a wealthy family. He didn't dare retaliate. I sneered coldly. Go ahead and try. Even if Gu Qinghan had 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare touch me. Bahao thought I was just like him, relying on Gu Xiaohua to get into Class S. Now that I've been dumped, I should get lost. Chu Mingyao rolled her eyes. She leaned in to whisper to me. If he knew the truth, he'd be scared to death. I curved my lips in a smile. I'm looking forward to that too. If Gu Qinghan dared to mess with me, the Gu family would be the first to stop her. I couldn't be bothered with Bahao. No matter how fiercely he stared at me, I ignored him. I calmly kept chatting with Chu Mingyao. Chu Mingyao turned around, placing her hands on my desk. She lowered her voice. Gu Xiaohua is acting so weird this time. She clearly doesn't even like Bahao that much. Why suddenly take him back? I shook my head in frustration. I don't know, and I don't want to know. Just hearing Gu Qinghan's name made my chest feel tight. Nearby, people started gossiping. Gu Xiaohua rarely shows up near the boys' dorm, and so early, too. They must have spent the night together. A guy swore, have you ever seen Gu Xiaohua pick up a boyfriend? If it were that early, she'd have sent a driver. It has to be an overnight stay. Someone gasped. The boys grinned lewdly, while the girls blushed and lowered their heads. The boys who had secret crushes on Gu Qinghan all looked deflated. Someone sat down in front of Bahao. Come on, Spill, did you spend the night together? Bahao grinned smugly and teasingly said, why do you want to know? I'm not telling. Then it must be true. What's Gu Xiaohua like? Give us a little detail. The classroom instantly exploded with excitement. Everyone gathered around Bahao. Spill the tea on Gu Xiaohua. Come on, tell us. No one noticed my fists were clenched so tightly they turned white. They really spent the night together last night. That sentence stabbed into my heart like a knife. Gu Qinghan actually brought Bahao back to our apartment and into my bed. My chest heaved violently. My vision went dark. Bahao gave me a smug glance, then raised his voice on purpose. Some things are better left unsaid. But yeah, Gu Xiaohua really was with me last night. Bang! I slammed the desk and stood up. The desk let out a loud crash. The entire classroom instantly fell silent. Bahao dramatically clutched his chest. Jiang Yichin, are you crazy? You scared me to death. Chu Mingyao quickly grabbed my arm. Doesn't your hand hurt? Yichin, calm down. Right now I only wanted to do one thing. Rush up to Gu Qinghan and ask her face to face. How dare she? How dare she bring some random guy home? Bahao sneered sarcastically. What? Gonna go confront Gu Xiaohua now? I bet you won't dare. He was hoping I'd make a scene. Best case scenario, I'd piss off Gu Qinghan. Chu Mingyao suddenly turned and shouted angrily. Bahao, shut up. Everyone in class gasped. That's Gu Xiaohua's new flame. As she lost her mind? Is she crazy? Bahao's face turned ashen, but having just transferred, he didn't dare act out. He could only glare at me furiously. Chu Mingyao gripped my hand tightly. Her fingertips were trembling. The bell rang for class. The teacher entered the classroom. Chu Mingyao quickly dragged me back to my seat. Don't let him provoke you. She lowered her voice. Who knows if what he said is even true? Calm down and think it through. Seeing me nod, she let out a sigh of relief, then leaned in again. Even though Gu Xiaohua has dated a lot of guys, I've never heard of her spending the night at anyone's place. And she's never brought a guy home before either. She explained. Gu Qinghan is the center of attention at school. Everything she does is under the spotlight. Her exes love to show off the most. If something really happened, everyone would have known by now. I asked blankly. Really? Chu Mengyao answered firmly, of course. Do you believe me? I nodded silently. That entire class felt like sitting on pins and needles. My mind kept racing, even if nothing happened. Just by how stepping into our house was enough to drive me mad. As soon as the bell rang, I dashed out of the classroom. This time, Chu Mengyao didn't try to stop me. She just followed behind, clearly worried. In the corridor, Bahao was also walking the same way. He glanced at me smugly, as if he'd already won. As soon as we reached the first floor, we ran right into Han Jingnian. Yichin, where are you going? Bahao's face changed instantly. He clearly hadn't expected the Han family's young master to be this close to me. I replied coldly. To find Gu Qinghan. Han Jingnian frowned and looked at Bahao. Seeing that, Chu Mengyao quickly explained everything that happened in the classroom. Every last detail. Bahao's expression turned panicked, and he tried to sneak off. Han Jingnian barked, "Stop right there." Bahao froze in place. He turned around with a forced smile. Young Master Jingnian, what can I do for you? Han Jingnian pulled me close and sneered. You said Gu Qinghan spent the night with you. Bahao stammered. Well, Han Jingnian cut him off. Liar. She hasn't even kissed you, has she? Bahao's face turned pale. I've got stuff to do. Later. And he turned to run off. Han Jingnian pulled me along and walked out. Chu Mengyao could only quietly return to class. On a bench under the shade of the trees, I couldn't help but ask. How did you know he was lying? Han Jingnian sat down with a chuckle. Anyone familiar with Gu Qinghan knows. I sat down next to him. What is it? I asked. Han Jingnian explained. You've been abroad these past few years, so you don't know. She actually has a cleanliness obsession. A clean freak. I rubbed my ear. Her room's a total pigsty. Han Jingnian rolled his eyes. Not physical cleanliness. Emotional cleanliness. I snorted in disbelief. How many exes has she had? They'd stretch across blocks. Han Jingnian was both amused and helpless. Fair point, I guess. I frowned impatiently. What exactly are you getting at? What does this have to do with Bahao lying? I'm going to find Gu Qinghan and ask her myself. I stood up to leave. Han Jingnian suddenly pulled me back. Don't rush. Let me finish first. Han Jingnian thought for a moment seriously, then said directly, Bahao is definitely lying. Gu Qinghan may have had many boyfriends, but she has that emotional cleanliness issue. She hasn't even kissed any of them, let alone anything more. I looked skeptical. Seriously? Han Jingnian nodded. Why would I lie to you? There's no reason to lie about something like that. I was still doubtful. Then how do you know? She didn't just tell you that herself, did she? Han Jingnian explained. It was pulled out of her during a party. We got her drunk at a birthday celebration. And then someone asked her. I was stunned. Suddenly I remembered yesterday, when Gu Qinghan suddenly tried to kiss me for no reason. My face instantly turned red. She has emotional cleanliness, so why was she acting crazy yesterday trying to kiss me? That's totally inconsistent with what you just said. Han Jingnian wagged his finger. At that party, they got her super drunk. You know how girls talk when they're wasted? She said she's still. At that point, he suddenly smiled. I pressed him. Still what? Han Jingnian rolled his eyes. Come on. She said she didn't even have the urge to kiss any of those guys. Do you really think Bahao is that charming? He's clearly just trying to provoke you. My face turned even redder. I remembered Gu Qinghan saying something similar before. Could it really be true? Han Jingnian looked disgusted. That guy is clearly messing with you. You're too easy to fool. I quickly defended myself. I'm not mad about that. Who she dates is none of my business. I'm pissed she actually brought someone to our apartment. Han Jingnian rubbed his chin and looked me over. That's a lie too, isn't it? Even if Gu Qinghan wanted to make you jealous, she'd never bring a guy home. I slapped the table coldly. If she dares, I'll burn that apartment down. Han Jingnian burst out laughing. And you say you're not jealous? If you go confront her now, you lose. Arguing in front of the whole school. That's just putting on a show. I thought about it. Would be embarrassing. I grumbled. Then what should I do? He flashed a devilish grin. Invite her to lunch. Expose that guy's lies right there at the table. Wouldn't it feel great to slap her with the truth? Lunchtime in the cafeteria. Gu Qinghan and Bahao had just walked in, when Han Jingnian loudly called out. We forgot our meal cards. Treat us, won't you? Gu Qinghan glanced at me, smiling casually. Sure. The four of us sitting together left everyone stunned. The school bell's new flame, an old flame at one table. Everyone in the cafeteria stretched their necks to sneak a peek. When it came time to order, Wu Yu asked what we wanted. Black pepper beef rice. Han Jingnian nudged me with his elbow. What about you? I deliberately choked up. The same. Gu Qinghan raised an eyebrow suddenly. Didn't you used to hate black pepper? I glared at her hard. I like it now. So what? Gu Qinghan smiled nonchalantly. All right then. Whatever you say. Bai Hao stood off to the side, his smile a bit stiff. He had been waiting for Gu Qinghan to ask what he wanted to eat, but clearly, that wasn't happening. So he had to speak up himself. I'll have the cheese chicken cutlet rice.